Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome to the latest edition of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, along with Jason Lloyd, Earl the Pearl. I'm Adam the Bull, and we got a lot to get to today, folks. CC Sabathia is joining Jay Crawford as he gets inducted into the Guardians/Indians Hall of Fame this weekend. It's going to be a big weekend. Zach Meisel's got a big article coming out about it as well on The Athletic. A lot of exciting stuff with CC this weekend. We're going to talk Guardians. We're going to get into the Browns. Plenty to talk there, too, as they're wrapping things up in Greenbrier. We had the Deontay Foreman situation yesterday. Everything with the stadium. A lot to get to. We've got Mike, we've got Anthony, we've got Steve behind the glass. Guys, how are you? What's going on?
We're a little baffled right now because we are streaming on YouTube. We are not streaming on Tegna 1 at the moment.
Oh,
I can't have an easy day this week.
how will we survive without Tegna 1?
No, you guys are fine. It's just on the back end. So I'm going to do a quick read bowl. Then let's talk a little Guardians, little Orioles. Then we'll get to CC.
So before you do the read, I just want to say one thing because I don't want to talk after the read. Let me just say this about the Olympics, guys, real quick. First of all, I'm finding the Olympics fun. I know Mike was apoplectic yesterday that I'm not that into the gymnastics because I find it a little boring. Doesn't mean I don't respect Simone Biles, and she's amazing, incredible. I love her. But I'm just don't find gymnastics that interesting. I did watch the BMX bike racing yesterday, which I found very fun.
We were watching a little bit of swimming last night.
The swimming I love.
Yeah.
But that brings me to my point. First of all, we had this whole hubbub about this boxer from wherever the hell she's from. First of all, she's a woman, so stop putting out things that are completely untrue. Stop with the agendas, stop with the hate. We need more love in this world. The boxer who you don't care about, you're just trying to pass your agenda, is a woman. That's a fact. That's the end of the conversation. You wouldn't have cared otherwise. Everybody looks differently. You may be a pig-faced fat guy like me, and that's okay. I'm not pig-faced, but I'm fat. And so why worry about how you look and not how other people look? And last night on Twitter, people were ripping Katie Ledecky, saying she doesn't look like that much of a woman. You're an idiot. Anybody saying that stuff is probably a complete loser. You're living in your mother's basement, and that's all I got to say about that.
All right.
There you go. All right, Mike, get to your read.
All right, let's hope this works. I just tried a Hail Mary on T1, and we're going to keep our fingers crossed that it works as we hope. It's processing in the moment. But first, a word from FanDuel as we start every show. You guys know I love sports. I love them so much, I never want them to stop. But as the playoffs wind down, we get fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone, every day, all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. 2 updates before we get into baseball. Elijah Moore being evaluated for a concussion this morning as the Browns wrap up practice at the Greenbrier. Deontay Foreman, who we talked about yesterday, who was helicoptered to the hospital. All his x-rays and scans came back negative. He is returned to the team. Not practicing today,
that's huge.
but he's back with the team. So very thankful and happy for Deontay to be back with the team. Bull, now to the Guardians.
That was very scary.
Big win for Cleveland yesterday, a 10-3 dub over the Baltimore Orioles.
Right.
Bull, I want to ask you this to start. Bigger storyline coming out of yesterday's game. Ben Lively shutting down the Orioles lineup, or the Orioles teeing off on Trevor Rogers, who was one of Baltimore's deadline acquisitions?
I actually think it's Tanner Bibee having a short shoulder.
We're going to talk about that later. We're going to get to that later.
We will get to that later. The bigger headline is definitely, not that it was Trevor Rogers, because he's not very good anyway, but I think specifically that he's a lefty. And that's what they're hoping to get out of lefties. On Wednesday's Ultimate Guardian show, Zach and I were discussing the fact that the reason the Guardians had slumped for 3-4 weeks is because all their all-stars weren't playing well, guys, for the first time this year. Jose was slumping. Not that, Naylor had slumped earlier, but it was the first time that all of them were slumping together. Quan, Naylor, Fry, Ramirez, all were not playing well during that 3-week roughly stretch. And you're not going to win. You're not going to win when all your all-star players are not playing well.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to win that way. So lo and behold, now they've been playing better. Obviously, they've been starting to heat up. But last night in particular, if you throw Lane Thomas into the mix, because he's played it against lefties at an all-star caliber level to this point, all 5 of those guys at the top of the lineup all had big games last night. And until Bo Naylor's home run late in the game, after that, 6 through 9, they hadn't done anything. But when the top 5, which is where they're really strong, hit, the Guardians will win a lot of games because the pitching most nights is good enough starting. The bullpen's great. The defense is great. The base running's great. So when the top 5 hit, the Guardians are going to win a lot of games. And last night, they did, Jason.
You and I agree almost everything on baseball. I'm actually going to go the other way with you, though, and say
Ben Lively.
It's Lively.
It was a great start.
Because in March and April, we never would have said we're going to be counting on Ben Lively to pitch big games. But this team's going to be counting on Ben Lively to throw big games in October.
Yep.
And for him to shut down that lineup, that's more telling to me than one game against a guy making his first start for a new team, where I think there's some unfamiliarity and it's just a little awkward. And it's a great sign, yes. It's a great sign that the lineup is starting to pull out of its funk. But Ben Lively is proving over and over and over again, for whatever reason, whatever the Guardians have fixed, whatever he has fixed, he is trustworthy, at least 1 or 2 times through the order in a playoff series against a top opponent like this. So I was really, really encouraged by the start from Ben Lively. I think that's more important.
Yeah,
Earl, break the tie.
I was very, very encouraged by the start from Ben Lively yesterday. I don't know about you two, but it seems like all season long, when we see the Guardians play this stretch of teams that have weak records, they play down to their opponent. But they get these teams that's right there on the same level that they are on, and they show up every single night ready to play. He came out last night and he was solid. He gave up 2 runs. He really didn't put the Guardians in a bad situation, and then the offense gave him some runs. And I think when you get those 2 combinations every single night, the Guardians are going to come out successful more often than not, no matter who the opponent is. We all know that Baltimore is great at scoring runs, but they struggle. They struggle in the pitching department, and I feel like the Guardians at the right time seem to be able to take advantage of things like that.
I guess it shows the confidence level I have of Ben Lively right now that I didn't pick that, right? Like, he's been so consistently good. What's he had, 1 or 2 bad starts the whole year?
Yeah, it is
remarkable.
One of the best stories in baseball. Really.
It really is. I mean, this guy was the definition of a journeyman. When you think of that role, a guy who just bounces around the league and never really does anything, and you're like, how did this guy stay in the league for so long? He was not very good. And they have turned him into something. It's funny because Zach and I were talking about, Alex Cobb and Matthew Boyd rehabbing, and we were kind of lamenting the fact that even when Matthew Boyd, not Cobb, but when Matthew Boyd was at his best, he was maybe not league average, maybe. But then I said to Zach, I was like, I know he hasn't been here the whole year like Lively, but with what they have with this pitching factory here, and with what they've done with Ben Lively, maybe for the last 6 years they've seen something in Matthew Boyd that they're like, we do this one thing, we could fix this guy. Now he's older than Lively, and he's coming off a serious injury, and he hasn't been here the whole year. But who the hell knows? I mean, the way they seem to find magic when it comes to starting pitching. But you're right, Jason. Ben Lively is extremely important. I mean, right now, the best case scenario is that for the playoffs, you have a healthy Bibee, which we'll get to later, Gavin Williams, a healthy Alex Cobb, and Ben Lively. And those are your 4 starters. And you're not using Carrasco or Joey Cantillo or Matthew Boyd or McKenzie, who's been terrible and continues to be. He's been awful in the minors.
I know.
He can't even throw strikes anymore.
I know. I told
it's
Zach,
a lost season for
I think
him.
I'm going to go down to Columbus and talk to him, and I just want to do a follow-up story on him and
that'd be good.
Where he's at, because it's sad, man. His career is unraveling. It doesn't mean he can't put it back
together. No. But this is a lost year for him.
But right now, his career is unraveling.
Yeah, no doubt. Logan Allen, he's younger, obviously, but McKenzie's still pretty young too. But and that's it. And they got to get. Bibee's got to be healthy. Cobb's got to be healthy. But it's funny, Earl. You say the Orioles pitching is not that good. Now they have Corbin Burns, who's a superstar at the top of their rotation. But I was just talking about this earlier today. For all the consternation we have about their rotation, and the Orioles and the Yankees have more depth of rotation that you trust, at least on some level, than the Guardians do. But if the Guardians can get to the playoffs with Bibee, Williams, Cobb, and Lively healthy, that 1 through 4 potentially is just as good as anybody in the American League, except for Seattle. Seattle's got the best rotation. There's no doubt about that. But, for the Yankees, they have good depth of mediocrity. And they have Garrett Cole on top, but Garrett Cole hasn't been Garrett Cole this year because he's been hurt. He had a start push back this week as well. Obviously, Orioles have Burns. They got a really nice number 2, a young pitcher like the Guardians do with Grayson Rodriguez. The rest of their rotation is question marks. Zach Eflin is basically Alex Cobb, but he's been healthy this year. But they're the same kind of level.
I'd rather have Cobb. I think I'd rather have
if
Cobb.
He were healthy, yes. I agree with you. I think Cobb is better if he's healthy. So I think pitch rotation-wise, even with, again, they got to be healthy because they don't have any depth. Because the depth's all been terrible this year. Whether it's McKenzie or Allen or Xavier Nady.
Xavier Curry.
Xavier Curry. I don't know where I came up with Nady. There used to be a player named Xavier Nady. I think
Yes,
there was.
outfielder.
Yeah, right.
Outfielder,
I don't know why I called him that. Anyway, but I think the Guardians match up, and yet they have a better bullpen than all those teams. They have better base running than all those teams. They have better defense than all those teams. If you don't think the Guardians can win the World Series, you're out to lunch. Now, it's baseball, so who the hell knows? The Guardians get eliminated in the first round, and then the people that said they couldn't win the World Series, I told you so. But they are certainly capable, roster-wise, of winning the World Series. I have no doubts about that.
Another point on Ben Lively, I'm very, very confident in him going forward. And it was really, really good to see the Guardians give him some run support. I think in his last 3 starts, the Guardians had scored a total of 4 total runs, right? And I go back to the Tampa Bay game. You make 1 or 2 mistakes, and because your offense could put any runs on the board, it looked like a bad outing. And so if he can continue to just deliver what he's been delivering, and the offense can do, what they've done for the majority of the season, I'm really, really confident in this rotation. Even with a Matthew Boyd, even with a Alex Cobb coming off of injury, I trust this organization with pitching. And I know this year, compared to numerous years past, the pitching hasn't been up to par with what we've used to. But even with the pitching being what it is, if our offense can just give us something, it's still good enough, to your point, to go win a World Series.
Yeah, who's the third starter right now on this team? I think it's a debate between Lively and Cobb.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, sure.
A couple weeks ago, we couldn't know if we could name 2 starters that you trusted behind Tanner Bibee. And now, Gavin's starting around into form a little bit. We have to see Cobb throw. Obviously, he hasn't thrown at all.
Yeah. He's pitching Saturday for Columbus.
He's a competitor. And when he's good, he's very good. When he's bad, he's really bad. And I guess you could say that about a lot of pitchers. But there seems to be a lot of fluctuation with him. He's had a ton of injuries in his career, but I'm just excited to see him on the mound in Cleveland and see how much they have left. I said yesterday, the day before, that it was the most obvious Cleveland move that we missed. It was like, of course.
Yeah. We didn't even think about it. Never mentioned him.
No, it's like, how did we miss that?
Yeah.
That's a vintage Cleveland Guardians move to go out and get a guy like that.
Although in the perfect world, it would have been the second pitcher they got.
Right. But, Matthew Boyd, I guess, is the second pitcher that they've got. I don't trust him in a playoff series.
Real quick, did Lane Thomas win his home debut or what?
Yeah.
Getting a double right off the bat in the first inning.
Yeah.
And he had 2 hits, and it was a great game. They played really well offensively, defensively, pitching wise. By the way, I asked Zach this question. I'll ask you guys this: if the Guardians could get out of the Andres Gimenez contract right now, would they? You think they would? Earl says they would.
Yep.
I actually don't think they would.
I don't think they would.
Yeah.
I don't think they would, but I think that
he's been awful offensively
this
year.
I know. But it's
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe they would, because they're pretty good about getting off things a year too early than a year too late. And if they try, another year of this, and they're not going to be able to get out of it.
Yeah, he went from being all-star level offensively to league average last year to well below league average this year.
I don't know. I don't know.
How much does having a platinum glove make up for how bad he is offensively?
Not enough this year. If he's league average offensively as he was last year, then it's fine.
If he's a platinum glove at short, it's better than a platinum glove at second.
Well, next year he'll play short, I assume.
I assume he will. We talked to Jason Kipnis about that yesterday.
Oh, yeah. How was he?
He's great.
I get a chance to
Kip's
watch.
awesome.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
And he said the same. He would expect, certainly not this year.
Yeah.
But next year, Jimenez to slide to short.
Right.
And Bazana to arrive at some point at second base.
Yeah. And Bazana hitting a grand slam in his first home game. That was cool. Go ahead, Mike. What do you got?
Well, it looks like we
going
are
out
about
there?
to be joined by a very special guest who has made his way in studio before, and that is CC Sabathia after a quick word from our good friends over at Game Time. If you're looking to get a baseball ticket or a ticket to the Cavs game or to the Browns this season, there's no better place to buy your tickets online than with Game Time. I've used it before. Anthony's used it before. Bull's used it before. Jason's used it before. Jay's used it before. I'm sure CC Sabathia has used it before. That's because it's an authorized ticket marketplace of not only Major League Baseball, but the NBA and the NFL, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Plus, prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, terms apply. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. And with that, let's send it out to Jay Crawford, who's now standing by with CC Sabathia. What's up, Jay?
CC Skinny.
Hey, Mike, how are you? Good to talk to you. First of all, I want to start by just having everybody take a look at CC Sabathia. The first thing I said when I saw him is, where'd the other half of you go? He looks like he's in phenomenal shape. In fact, you said you're down about 50 pounds from playing weight.
Yeah, I played at like 310, 315. I'm like 270, 275 right now.
Wow. So you're in for two reasons. The biggest one is you're going into the Guardians Hall of Fame over the weekend, tomorrow. What is that like? What does that mean to you?
Oh, it's special. It's humbling. Getting drafted by this organization at 17 years old meant a lot. And, I always say I don't think my career ends up the way it does had I not get drafted by this organization. Mark Shapiro, Dan O'Dowd, John Hart, all these different guys that, had a huge impact on my career, helping me turn in from an amateur, boy into a professional man. So, I was born in the Bay Area in Vallejo, but I really feel like I grew up here in Cleveland. I got married here. Three or four of my kids were born here. Bought my first house here. So I really feel like, special and connected to the city. So it feels great to be going to the Hall of Fame.
It kind of puts a bow on your Cleveland career, really. I mean, there's no higher honor as a Guardian than to go in to their Hall of Fame. When you look back on your career, obviously you had to make decisions that were in the best interest of your financial interest and your family. But I know that you enjoyed your time here in Cleveland. All things equal, kind of feel like you would have rather spent your entire career here.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that wasn't my decision leaving here. It was not my decision to leave Cleveland. But I think it was a necessary one, and I think it was a lesson that I needed to learn. All the guys that came before me, whether it was Tony, Manny, all these different guys, I'm like, oh, I'm different than them. I'm gonna stay here forever. I'm their guy, and then learning the lesson that it's a business. And, getting a chance to get traded to Milwaukee and, understanding that, it's baseball. You go up there and you do your job, and this place will always be special to you, but you got to understand the business side of it, and I think that was a lesson that I need to learn.
Yankee fans can be of a certain breed. Guardians, Indians fans, a certain breed. How are they different fan base?
I feel like the fan base here is a lot. But the baseball community here, the baseball fans that are here, it's a real baseball community. It's a real fan base, and these people come out and support you when you're playing well. So I love it. Playing here and trying to perform here, and I still have nightmares about 2007. And if I pitch better most series, I still feel like I let this fan base down.
I don't think they feel that way. I really don't.
that makes it feel better, but it's still hard for me.
The memory gave the fans collectively during your career here, winning a Cy Young and doing all of the things you did. I have no doubt in my mind that the Cleveland fan holds you near and dear and a very special place in their heart. What are you expecting that ovation to be like when you take the field tomorrow to take that really highest honor that a Cleveland Indians Guardians player can take?
Yeah, no, I'm excited. Hopefully it's loud. Hopefully people feel the same ways I do about this city and this fan base. So Like I said, I'm excited to go in tomorrow. I have my family here. My mom's here. The 4 of my kids here, the 2 oldest. So I think it'll be a special day.
Yeah. What do you want Cleveland fans to know about your time here and your thoughts on that?
I think the biggest thing I think I want people to know is, my career doesn't turn out the way it did.
All right, coaches,
had I not got drafted.
1 minute.
By
Finish up your last set of drills. We're going to bring it up, and then we're going to rotate. All right? 1 minute.
I was able to learn and grow and turn into a Cy Young pitcher here.
Well, we got to talk about the Guardians. My God.
Yeah.
Like talking to you earlier, there are some that are still looking at it as if it's a fool's gold. But when you can pass that 100-game mark, there's enough sample size. You kind of are what you are. What is this team? What is their ceiling?
Man, the thing that I've been impressed with is they bang, they can hit, man. It's not just Hosey. I feel like in the last couple of years, it's just, you wait for Hosey to hit a 3-run homer, or you waiting him to come up late in the game and hit a double, to drive us a run. But it's Naylor, it's, Stephen Kwan, it's all these different guys that can drive in runs and hit for power. I think the league's wide open. I think to me personally, I think Baltimore is probably the best team in the American League, and they just gave up 10 runs to the Guardians. So
on their new big
and the Guardians have won 3 out of 4 against them this year. So there's a chance there. So I'm excited to see what happens.
When you just mention World Series, it brings up so many emotions for Cleveland fans, because obviously in the history of the series, long time ago, there was a rich history, but it's been since 1948. Close calls a number of times when you were here, obviously the close call in 2016. Do you think this team, the way it's composed right now, can pull off a Texas Rangers from last year or a Braves from a few years ago and shock everybody?
I honestly do. I mean, I think, like what I was saying, I think the league is wide open, and I think the way these guys hit and hit for power, anything can happen, especially with the bullpen. Their bullpen is elite. And I think that's what you need going down the stretch of October.
Well, I'm glad you went to the bullpen, because there's a bit of debate going on in Major League circles right now as to whether or not a reliever should be considered for a Cy Young.
Yeah.
There's been 9, and it hasn't happened since Gagne in the early 2000s. When you look at his numbers, Emmanuel Tase, you kind of see that he's having. And I know that there are some good pitchers having great years right now in the American League, but no one's having that absolute runaway Cy Young campaign. From a starter who's won a Cy Young, what kind of considerations should a closer get?
No, I think a closer that is having tough seasons that Tase is having, he definitely should get the consideration. I mean, we talk about Gagne that year that he had, I think it's 2003 or 4. I mean, it's unbelievable. So if there's no clear-cut runaway winner with the Cy Young from a starter standpoint, which I don't really see outside of school, I mean, I think you got to give some consideration.
We love to hear that. I just checked.
When you're that lights out, I mean, it is what it is.
We just looked at the odds. I think he's plus 10,000 or something like that. Not that that means he's what's going to happen, but who knows? September, a lot of baseball to go August.
You pitch some big games down the stretch, and you pitching some national games, and the opinion might change.
As you look around here, the reason we're here, we're at Luke Easter Field. This is something that I know is near and dear to your heart and your pitching foundation. Tell us a little bit about what's going on here today and what the mission is.
Yeah, so this is a baseball camp that we're doing, the Pitching Foundation. And we do these camps every year. We do them in California, we do them in the Bronx, we do them here in Cleveland. And the goal is just to turn, these kids into baseball fans. I think for the longest time I wanted to turn kids into baseball players, but we need fans. And I think about my experience growing up. My mom was a baseball fan, so we went to the Coliseum all the time. She put on the catcher's gear to go catch me. So I think, watching all these parents come out here and bring their kids out here, I want to create more experiences to create more fans, and that's how we create more baseball players.
Have you seen an impact from what you've been doing? Because I know you've been doing this for years. Have you seen a tangible impact?
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy is, my last year in 2019, I'm out on the field in Toronto, and I was actually talking to Mark Shapiro, just randomly sitting out on the field, and Rowdy Tellez comes running up to me, and he, I had never met him before, and he goes, hey, I just wanted to say hello, and I grew up going to your camps as a kid as well. So
wow.
My last year and having a kid in the big leagues that went to my camps, it's full circle.
Wow.
So Yeah, I mean, we've definitely seen the impact. It makes me feel good. It makes us feel good while we do these camps.
That's pretty cool. When you come back to Cleveland, I know you love to eat. You're eating much differently these days. Do you have a couple of favorite eating spots that you have to stop by when you're here?
We always go to Marble Room. That's always the dinner spot that we always go to. So I'm sure I'll be there at some point this weekend. That's really it. Now in my svelte days, I keep it. I try to keep it light.
If you were to get on the mound right now with the radar gun behind the plate, how fast you do?
Oh, 68.
No, that's not. You throw an underhand 68. There's no way you're throwing a baseball at 68.
My shoulder is not good.
Now, I know. Tell us about your kid, because we followed him on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and we know that he's a huge prospect, but he's in a bit of a transition period at an injury. What's going on with him?
Yeah, so he's here now. He was down in the Cape and fractured his hamate bone. So he had surgery about 2 weeks ago. Just got the stitches out. He's in the portal, so in the next couple of days he's gonna make an announcement about where he's going. But everything's looking good. I mean, he's a big kid. He works his butt off. Looks nothing like his dad at 20 years old. So I'm excited for him. He's got a lot of power. He's a good hitter. Plays first base. He can play the outfield. So he's got a bright future. And honestly, he's a smart kid. So I think he's got a bright future in the game. Maybe baseball ops. All these different things that you can do in the game. His mind works for that.
CC, great to see you again. Thank you so much. Congratulations on going into the Guardians Hall of Fame. It's going to be a huge day for you tomorrow. Enjoy it. And it's great to see you on the Cleveland Sports Show.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Take care. So there you have it. I know he says that he's throwing 68. I don't buy it. I don't buy it for a second. I just can't get over the actual physical specimen that this guy is. I'm telling you, he could still put on a Major League uniform, and no one would think that he's out of place. No one.
Thanks,
Jay.
You bet, guys. See ya.
So, congratulations to CC. It was, when we first saw him on camera, I said, oh, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, he was thin when he came in here, whenever that was. I don't know. It wasn't that long ago.
About a year and a half ago.
Was it that long?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't realize it had been that long. But he had lost a lot of weight.
Him and Joe Thomas are on that same workout plan.
Holy moly. These guys are skinny
incredible.
guys.
Yeah.
Good for them. But I just want to say, and I probably mentioned it, I'm sure I mentioned it when he was here, but I will never forget when I saw him pitch in my first year of doing, he was drafted in 98, and he pitched in rookie ball. And then in 99, he pitched for the Mahoning Valley Scrappers, which is, I think, still one of the Guardian. No, I don't know if they are anymore.
No.
One of the Guardian. No, they're not.
No,
they were until a few years ago when they traded. But the Mahoning Valley Scrappers were the Guardians or the Indians at the time, minor league affiliate in the New York Penn League, which is short season A ball. And in '99, he made 3 stops up to high A ball. But he made 6 starts for Mahoning Valley. And one of them was against the team I was doing play-by-play for, Batavia. And I'll never forget, when he got on the mound, I was like, whoa, this guy looks different than most of the pitchers. And then I saw him pitch, and I said, that guy pitches different. It was noticeable in A-ball in 1999. He had been a professional for maybe a calendar year, that he was something different. I obviously didn't realize he was going to be this great a player.
Yeah.
But and I think those last couple of years where he upticked again with the Yankees after declining for a few years, I think that put him over the top. I don't know if he's eligible for the Hall of Fame. He goes into the Guardians Hall of Fame now. He's eligible for the Hall of Fame for the first time this year.
Yeah.
I'm guessing he won't be a first
Probably
ballot Hall
not
of
a
Famer,
first
but
ballot,
I think he'll get in eventually.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
I think he will get in.
Yeah. And will he wear a an Indians/Guardians hat or a Yankees hat?
My guess is Yankees.
Yeah, well.
Think so?
Yeah.
I don't think it's up to the players anymore.
Oh, you're right. It's up to baseball, isn't it? And up to the Hall.
I see. They did that because of that Wade Boggs nonsense.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If it's a situation like this, where it's kind of could go either way, I think you should let the player pick. Like, if he wanted to pick the Brewers, yeah, he can't wear a Brewers cap.
Right.
But I think the player should be allowed to pick if it's fairly even.
I'd have
which
to
it
look
is.
and see. How many years was he in New York?
I think it was more than the Guardians.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I actually think
but it's close.
He had more success in New York and a longer stay in New York than he did Cleveland.
Probably, yes.
I'd love to see him in a
He pitched 11 years in New York, 8 years in Cleveland. He had 134 wins in New York, 106 in Cleveland. ERA essentially the same, 3.81 in New York, 3.83 in Cleveland.
Did he win a World Series there?
He did win a World Series with the Yankees.
He's
He
going
won a
in
Cy
his
Young
year,
with the Yankees.
He's going in his year.
Let me ask you all something.
Yeah.
During that interview, he said, he wanted to stay in Cleveland, but it wasn't up to him.
Well,
and I
it was
remember,
up to him.
Of course, but I remember when Tommy left, he said, the same thing. I wanted to stay in Cleveland. Same thing when Manny left, right? And I go back to those was the golden years when I was a kid. I was a huge fan of this team. I could tell you everybody that was on the team. I always go back when I hear stuff like that and wonder, like, if you would have re-signed, if you had the money to re-sign all the guys that you drafted from that certain era of the 90s, how many World Series would we have won?
I mean, I can't even say any because they had enough time with enough of those. I mean, Sabathia is not the same as those guys, but from
95 and 97, they easily could have won.
Yeah,
one
I
of
mean
those.
that whole stretch of time through 2000,
and then you have
early
to look,
2000s, you could have won.
The Yankees went on their run 98, 99, right? Did they go back to back to back? 98,
they won
99,
3 out of
2000?
4. They
the Diamondbacks won in 01, didn't they?
Yeah, that was the Diamondbacks won. The Yankees won 3 out of 4.
So, I mean, maybe
96, 98, 99, 2000.
I see what you're saying, and maybe Cleveland steals one of those, but I tend to agree with Bull. I think their best chance was when they had him here.
Yeah.
When they
and
were here.
They should have traded, I don't remember what year it was, where they could have had Pedro Martinez for Jared Wright.
It's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, I already know. Like
segment later on in the show today.
It's so funny though because
I
can remember again when the Jacobs owned this team. It just seemed like this team had all the star power, and I remember the transition of ownership, and I remember when Roberto Alomar was traded, and from that moment it was a domino of this is going to be a different organization.
By the way, when they did
forward.
trade Sabathia, they got an all-star, Michael Brantley.
It was not Matt Laporta.
No, Matt Laporta was the big name in the trade, but it was Michael Brantley. And by the way, Michael Brantley's still the last Guardians outfielder with 20 home runs in a season. Not 30, not 40, 20.
That's crazy.
It probably won't get broken this year.
No, because Kwan's got 11. I don't think he's going to hit another 9. Probably not.
Speaking of Guardians News Bowl, you mentioned this earlier in the show. We're going to bring it back up after a word from eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home some big-time wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Boy, you said it when I asked the question to start the show. Bigger story, Ben Lively, or the offense. You responded with Tanner Bibee. And in case you missed it, Tanner Bibee was scratched from his weekend start against the Orioles due to shoulder tightness stemming from his last start against the Detroit Tigers. We don't know how severe it is. It may just be one start. But how much of a concern is this for a Guardians rotation that we've talked about at length is already kind of hanging on by a thin thread?
Well, the thin thread is maybe a little overstating, but they don't have great depth, and it is very concerning. Now, the Guardians are downplaying it, but, Jason, as we know, they downplay everything, especially with their pitchers.
It's only a flesh wound, and a guy's running around on one leg.
And then, they still haven't told us, as Zach pointed out this morning, what's going on with Josh Naylor. Like, why twice has he missed, 3 games? Like, what's the injury with him? Mm-hmm. What is happening with him? So until I see him pitch and pitch with his typical velocity, I'm going to be concerned. Zach made the point, and I wasn't paying close enough attention, so good job out of him, that if you go back to Tanner Bibee's last start, he finished the 6th inning, but his last fastball, he normally throws, 94, 95? Yeah. His last fastball was about 92. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. Then he starts the 7th inning, and every fastball he threw in the 7th inning was 91, 92. And then they got him out of there in the 7th inning. Now, that's a little concerning.
That's very concerning.
Okay? So they could tell us it's no big deal, and hopefully it is no big deal. Not every shoulder or turns into a massive thing.
Right.
But Tanner Bibee they cannot afford to lose him. That's a disaster if they lose him. So Zach, Stephen Vogt reiterated after the game to the media that, it's okay, it's minor. Zach suggested today that he thinks he might pitch as soon as Monday against Arizona. But until I see him not only on the mound, but pitching with his typical velocity, I'm going to remain concerned.
Remember Sanford and Son when Fran Sanford used to grab his chest like, "Oh Lord, it's the big one."
Yeah. Was it Eleanor? No. What was his wife's name? He used to go. He would be like, "Eleanor, I'm coming." That was Eleanor.
That's the type of anxiety you get when you see Tanner Bibee missing the start because of shoulder tightness, especially when you see the dip in velocity in his last start. And then to hear that they was not sure if he might have hurt his shoulder to start before this one. And so it is concerning because now we're in August. We're no longer saying it's just July. You're rounding third and headed home, and you want to have that rotation solidified, with some reps, consistency, pitching well. Yep. And if the best pitcher in this rotation is not available to you, that is cause for concern.
I just DL him. I DL him. Or IL or whatever they call it now. I shut him down for 10 days. I was looking. The first thing when I heard shoulder was, where's his innings and how does it compare?
Yeah.
And he threw 157 innings last year. He's at 121 this year. So he's going to set a career high in innings if he doesn't miss a start. If he pushes through.
Yeah, he's probably got 10 starts left.
Oh yeah. And so right there, you're looking at 50 to 60 innings. So it's going to be a career high.
Yeah.
I just shut him down. It's August 1st. Let him skip 1-2 starts.
Yeah.
And if it really is not that big of a deal, he won't even need to go on a rehab assignment.
Right.
You can just put him right back in the rotation.
Yeah,
but there's no sense letting this linger. It means too much to this team right now. Just shut it down.
Yeah, Zach said today he doesn't think it's going to be an IL situation, but it's not a bad thought. It's 15 days minimum. You can backdate it till his last start.
Right. How many times do we hear erring on the side of caution and out of extreme caution or whatever?
Right.
Well, this is a case where why take the chance?
If there's anything going on at all.
It's August 1st. You have a 6-game lead.
Right.
Just shut him down.
Again, if this turn, I'm not saying the season's over if he goes down. It's not over. But it is about as bad an injury as they could have.
Yeah.
He is one of the most important players.
It's the Browns losing Myles Garrett. Honestly, to me, it's the Browns losing Myles Garrett.
Yeah. I mean, it's
not Jose.
Yeah.
But it's Myles Garrett. It's not Jose Ramirez, but it's Myles Garrett on the team.
You know what? I'm inclined to agree with Jason, too. I can't think of the kid's name, but he made his big league debut against the Phillies.
Cantillo.
Yeah. And so, Vogt can get creative with this thing.
You can muddle through.
You can muddle through. The bullpen is strong enough, and you can get guys like that up to spot start and things like that. I trust the fact that if you was to put him on an IL for 10 days, not only is it helping to heal up, but like Jason said, you're taking some innings off his arm, and then just figure it out. We got a 6-game lead. If this thing was closer, if this was the AL East, it'd be a different story, I think. So.
Well, I mean, they got a 6-game lead, 7 in the loss column over Kansas City, who's playing well. Minnesota 6.5 games back. You will have, if everything goes well Saturday with Alex Cobb, he could start as soon as Friday. The Guardians have a doubleheader in Minnesota on Friday. We could see Alex Cobb pitch a game in that doubleheader.
Yeah.
And Matthew Boyd could pitch in that series too, potentially. Zach thinks he might go for one more rehab start. I don't know, but it might be the smart play, as Jason says, could very well be to IL him and have him start again. It would be 12 days from now or something like that. Whatever.
We could backdate it to his last start,
right?
So it really wouldn't be.
Not that they are in conversation, but what's the latest on Tristan McKenzie and Logan Allen down in AAA?
Not good. I haven't seen Logan Allen's stats. McKenzie's been a total disaster.
I had hoped McKenzie could at least be an option out of the bullpen in the playoffs.
They should be doing that right now. They should be throwing him out of the pen. It's a lost season for him. He's done as a starter for this year.
Put him in the bullpen and see if he can get by throwing mostly curves and spot fastballs.
Yeah.
Maybe he can help you in the postseason. I know it seems insane given what his numbers look like in the minors right now. And it may just be he's a total
right, but why not try that? Because
I agree.
Because think about it. Let's say you go with 4 starters in the playoffs, and I like 4. I don't like going guys on short, especially with these guys. I don't want Bibee on short rest.
Right.
So let's say it's Bibee, Williams,
Lively,
and Cobb as your 4 starters. Okay, well, we know that at the back of the bullpen, you got Clase, you got Gaddis, you got Barlow, you got Cade Smith. Who am I forgetting?
Heron,
Hentges.
Yeah.
Am I forgetting anybody?
Righty.
Cade Smith, Gaddis, Clase.
He's not one of the dominant ones, the guy. But
you
got
Nick
the ball.
something.
You got the ball.
Nick something.
Sandlin.
Oh, Sandlin, right.
That's what this means.
Okay, so that's
Sandlin.
So that's 7 guys.
I don't know what this.
So
means.
that's 11 pitchers. You're
Rolling
gonna.
dice.
That's 11 pitchers. You're going to want 2 more pitchers on your postseason roster. I don't want Xavier Curry on my postseason roster. Probably don't want Avila on my postseason roster.
Carrasco's not there.
I definitely don't want Carrasco on my postseason roster.
It's not
so I got
Quintero.
2 spots now. I don't know. And I think if McKenzie can right the ship for an inning, that's it. Let's see what he can do in 1 inning.
Plus,
Real quick, Jason, I'm looking at Logan Allen's minor league stats.
yeah.
Not bad. 3 starts, 3.86 ERA, 16 innings pitched, a 1.22 WHIP, 12 strikeouts.
I don't trust him.
That's
I mean,
not
I'm not-
very
I'm not
good,
saying
Mike.
it's great.
AAA.
I don't trust him.
Compared to Tristan McKenzie, it's not bad.
Fine,
It's what the
but
2 lines were.
you know, he's not making the postseason roster either.
And I don't know how long you lose trust in starters in the postseason even faster than you do the regular season.
Oh, yeah.
Especially a guy as good as Ben Lively has been. I don't think they're expecting him to carry him to the 6th and 7th innings of these playoff games. So you're going to need bridge guys.
Yes.
Before you get to Cade Smith and Gaddis.
Right.
You need someone to cover the 4th and the 5th, or the 3rd,
Right.
the 4th, and the 5th, 4th, 5th, whatever. I still think McKenzie could be an option there.
They got to try it. I don't know why at this point he's shot as a starter for this year.
Yeah.
Try him in the bullpen. And yes, you're right. As good as Ben Lively's been, he's in trouble in the 3rd, 4th inning.
He's out.
He's gone.
He's
We're
going
going to the bullpen.
He's going to be
in the playoffs.
He's going to be a 3 2/3 innings guy.
Yeah. Now if he pitches really well, okay, maybe he gets 5 innings.
Right.
But
and Cobb the same way. Cobb's going to be the same way.
yeah, any trouble? I mean, we saw that really came into focus in 2016 with both the Cubs and the Guardians. Outside of Kluber and a little bit with John Lester. Everybody else, the second they were in trouble.
Well, and
pull
they
them
didn't even
out.
have to get in trouble. I always forget this
Yeah.
guy's name. The guy who all the fans bought everything off his wedding registry. It was like his
Ryan
own,
Merritt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
One time through the
Yeah.
order, and Tito was like, "Nope, you're
ya.
done.
Goodbye.
You did your job. We're
That's
not
it.
taking any chances.
Josh Tomlin.
Get out." Yeah.
All those guys.
One time
Yeah,
through
yeah.
the order.
Come
Yeah,
on
that
over
was
here,
it.
fam.
Yeah.
Come on over here.
Job well done. Have a seat next to me.
All right, the Guardians continue their series with the Orioles tonight. It's a 4-game set, of course. The Guardians have won 4 in a row, 7 of their last 9. They've won 3 of 4 against Philadelphia and Baltimore. The Orioles dealing with some injuries of their own.
Yeah.
Jordan Westbrook broke his
Big one.
hand. That's a
big
big
one.
loss for
Yeah.
them.
Yep.
But who do they call it? They call up Jackson Holiday, their best prospect, and now today they're calling up Kobe Mayo.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yes, their second best prospect. So those guys will be playing 2nd and 3rd respectively for them.
You know, I play MLB The Show. I traded for Jackson Holiday.
Okay.
He
What'd
plays
you
for
give
the
up for him?
He plays for the Guardians. now.
What'd you give up for him?
Well, I turned the trades off, and I just gave up like 2. I think I gave up Will Brennan, Rocchio,
my
and
goodness
somebody
gracious.
else.
God, so you just
cheating.
Yeah, you're just cheating basically.
Yeah.
I like it. I like the way you're thinking there, Earl.
You're just
I would love
Michigan
to
out
see-
there with binoculars on the sideline.
Yeah.
Earl, I would love to see what happens if Chris Antonetti was to call Baltimore and say, "You know what? I got a proposal for you. This worked in the show. I'm curious it'll work in real life."
Yeah.
Hear me out.
Just hear me
for
out one
Holiday.
time.
He says no. He goes, "Okay, Brennan and Rocchio for Holiday, and see what the response is from the Baltimore GM."
Yeah, I don't think that would go well, but hey, you never know. You never
Said no
know.
one
It
time
worked for
too
Earl. It
many.
could work
Yeah.
for
I
anybody.
went to options. I said, you know what?
Yeah.
Make any trade I want. That's what I did.
Speaking of video games, Aaron was playing. What's the video? What's the game that all the kids play?
Oh, college football game?
Fortnite.
Fortnite. Thank you,
Yeah.
Earl. He's playing Fortnite with his buddies, right? And I know all his friends. First of all, I coach most of them in baseball, but I just know them anyway. So they're all playing and they're talking in their kid language, whatever the hell they're saying. I don't know what the hell's going on. And so my son has his iPad there and he's talking. So I walk up to him and I'm like, "Hey, me and your dads are going to learn how to play this game and we're going to kick your asses." And they're like, "Yeah, we'll see." They're talking trade. I'm like, "No chance."
That's funny.
I don't know.
Anthony will
what
coach the team dads.
Yeah, Anthony, you want to do that? Will you
Anthony
coach?
says
Will
he-
you teach
Anthony
me how to
says he
play
got
video
you.
games?
Yes, I would love to see that content.
I need some
would
coaching, man.
record that. Yeah, for sure.
I can play MLB The Show. I've played it a couple of times. I'm I'm okay, I guess. I'm probably terrible.
You versus Earl.
He don't
But
want
I'm
this.
okay.
He don't want this smoke.
I'll play you, Earl.
don't
You'll
want
probably
this
beat
smoke.
me because you play, but I'll play. I'll
You
give it
know,
a shot.
I played CC in a video game for,
what?
for a story for
In
Cleveland
what game?
Magazine. I don't remember.
Oh,
This is
like
like
years ago?
when he played here.
Oh,
a
so it was
for-
like Atari or something.
well, shut up.
ColecoVision.
That long ago. It was. I
Yeah.
forget what it was. I don't even know what it
Okay.
was. And
Yeah.
we played some video game in,
Yeah.
the, in the video room and for some
A
story.
sports
for-
game?
Yeah. It was the Twins against the Indians.
Okay. Did you win?
I think he won.
Okay.
I don't remember, but
Yeah.
yeah, I can't
There you
remember.
go.
It
We got
was
to
some
play
story.
against CC.
Some story for Cleveland Magazine.
All right.
I don't remember it now.
All right. What do you got, Mike? We're
Just a
switching
quick
gears.
reminder that if you guys are big UCSS fans and want even more UCSS content, make sure you sign up for the UCSS newsletter that gets sent out every Monday morning. You can text the number you see on the bottom of your screen right now to get signed up for that newsletter. And what is in the newsletter is some of the best stuff you missed from the week prior, plus some exclusive content, including an article Earl writes every week. We get a new top 5, and any other little trinkets, schedule updates you need to know is in that newsletter. So make sure you guys text the number on the bottom of your screen to sign up if that interests you. We talked about it on the show yesterday, Bo. I know you weren't here, but Jason and Earl, you guys were in, about the city's public offer to fund
Yeah.
$461 million of a proposed renovated stadium downtown. They said, Haslam's,
Yeah.
you have till August 12th to respond.
Yeah.
The Haslam's put out a statement yesterday in response to that offer from the city and essentially said, we'll take a look at it, we'll consider it, and we'll make the appropriate decision when the time comes. We don't have to read it word for word.
Yeah.
But if you want to see it, Steve, you can take some of this. Well, this was
I know, by the way,
statement they
today,
put out.
nobody cares about this. It's all the statement from the city and the statement from Jimmy Haslam. It's all their lawyers and propaganda. Nobody pays attention to what they're saying in these things. They're all meaningless. Now the team is putting out propaganda that apparently the stadium is going to collapse in like 10 minutes.
I did laugh at that.
I mean,
yesterday.
come on.
I mean,
really?
And like, again, I've been.
We all want a dome.
I'm
Most
on
of us
Team
want
Dome.
a new dome.
I'm Team Dome.
Yeah.
But let's have a reasonable,
Yeah, come
fair
on now.
discussion about this. The stadium is not going to fall into the lake. Like, it's
ridiculous.
30 years. There's the stadiums that have been around a lot longer than this stadium that somehow
Yes.
haven't deteriorated. Lambeau Field, Wrigley Field,
Yes.
Fenway. Like, stadiums concrete lasts quite a long time.
Jason, I mean, I don't know if really none of us are qualified to speak on this. Maybe you know something on this.
I haven't dug as much the last day or so.
I was just going to say, the question is, what is the reality that if the stadium gets built in Brook Park, what are the real financial ramifications for Cleveland? And I don't think any of us have any clue what that answer is.
Like the
positive
financial
or
loss?
negative. Yes, like I know, obviously on those Sundays, it's bad for businesses
Right.
near the stadium.
Right.
Because people are not going to go downtown. I mean, certainly not in the same numbers.
And it's bad for hotels because you
Right.
do get visiting fans that come in.
Right.
That stay
Yeah.
at the
Now, they may
hotels.
stay in Cleveland in the hotels, but not, there'll be new hotels in this
Right,
place. And,
right. There will be a hit, but we're talking about 8, 9, 10 dates
Right.
a year.
It seems like, again, and I don't know, and I'm talking out of school, just from a complete it seems like a brand new stadium in Brook Park with they build it up kind of like what the Patriots did with the mall around it or whatever, is good for the area.
It's interesting. We had, when I was at the Greenbrier, we had plenty of downtime there.
Yeah.
So there's nights where all the media get together and you go to dinner together and you sit around by the fire at night and everyone has drinks and you just talk.
Yeah.
And the stadium issue came up a couple times, and there was quite a few people who I thought made good points, who are media members who cover the Browns. I'm not going to go through who was on which side.
Right,
saying there's nothing wrong with just stick with what you got. You're going to go out and you're going to spend all this money. Cleveland has so many problems, and it's
true.
It's a fair argument. It's a very
That's
reasonable
true.
argument.
And the owner has the money to pay for all of this by himself.
I asked him that.
Yeah.
I asked Jimmy at the Greenbrier, why don't you pay for it yourself? Just pay for it yourself. And he went through the whole public-private, it's better as a partnership.
whatever.
But I thought we needed to have somebody on
Yeah.
the record. We needed to have an answer on the record.
Sure.
Why not pay for it yourself?
Yeah.
But the people who covered the team, there was quite a few who felt like, just keep it downtown. The city has too many other issues that need to be addressed rather than dumping all this money in. And if you go out and you build this palace in Brook Park and you put all this retail and shopping, and who's going to go? How do you know they're going to go?
I don't know.
And it's a fair question.
Yeah.
And I made the point of like, well, you've got Crocker Park on the west side,
Yeah.
and you've got Legacy on the east side, but there's really nothing in between. And they were telling me like, people just go to Crocker. Like people in Brook Park and Parma can go to Crocker.
Yeah,
like
right.
they don't need to go to that new. Anthony, I'm curious. As a Parma guy, do you go like where do you go? Do you go to Crocker? Do you think something? You're more familiar with that area than I think anybody in terms of where you've lived. Do you ever
go to South Park down in Strongsville
South
from
Park?
my house.
Okay. So how do you think something in Brook Park would do? Like not so much the stadium, but like if they develop all the space around it, and like the question was, who's going to live there? If you're going to put housing, if it's going to be mixed use and you can put housing there, who's really going to move there?
I mean, that area, it's not like it's a bad area. There's just nothing there between North Olmsted and Parma. So building that up could be really nice. I don't know what they're going to do about like traffic infrastructure to handle that. Because Brook Park needs a lot of work already.
I mean, it's not that far. The airport is technically Cleveland, so it's right there. Can we just have Cleveland take on Brook Park?
Just move the line?
Yeah, right.
I thought you made a good point because east side, you got Legacy Village, you got Pinecrest, right?
Yeah.
You got Crocker Park, west side. Yeah. And so Cleveland does have a lot of problems. And none of us are politicians. Yeah. Like I've talked to a councilman and a former councilwoman to try to like educate myself on this, and I still came away feeling ignorant to everything that I need to know because that's not my strong suit.
Yeah.
But to your point of just keep what you got, I mean, there's older stadiums in the NFL, and will people come? I don't know. But as far as Cleveland Browns Stadium generating so much money for those 8 games throughout the season, again, I don't look at the numbers. So it's hard to say how much of that money is making a positive impact on the city. Here's an example to where I'm not really worried if they move to Brook Park tomorrow, August 3rd. At the same time, simultaneously, you got the Guardians playing at home on national TV against the Orioles. You got Martin Lawrence at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, and you have SummerSlam at Cleveland Browns Stadium.
Yeah.
The city of Cleveland is going to make a lot of money on Saturday. And so to me, it's like keep finding creative ways to build up the city to make us more attractive for all these events. And I think it'll probably have the same amount or if not more revenue coming into the city.
SummerSlam would be at Brook Park instead, if that stadium's built.
Dan might try to outbid Jimmy. Who knows? For
SummerSlam?
Yeah, you never know.
If they build a dome, would the stadium downtown wouldn't still exist, would it?
No.
But you take that off and you redevelop that space.
Do.
But
that actually came up in our conversation, and I agree with that part. If the Haslams do pull out and they do go to Brook Park, they do need to be involved in the redevelopment of that spot. Like you can't just abandon Cleveland.
Yes.
You need to pull out, go where you want to go, but then say, we're still committed to downtown, we're still committed to this. And in terms of the financing of the dome, I think that's important. I just think, we talked about it before, I think that there's creative ways to finance this that aren't necessarily taking tax dollars away from more valuable resources.
Right, absolutely.
And
that's by the way, this proposal to fix up the stadium was including some money from the city.
I was surprised.
Yeah.
I was a little bit surprised at the way that they went about doing it, especially when Justin Bibb was so adamant a year ago or so about we will not use public funds to do this. I just think that there's and I'm also
it is, if you think about it, I know the reality of the situation. It is insane that billionaires get their stadiums paid for them, at least partially. It's insane. It tells you all, that sums up all that is wrong with our country, is that the billionaires who have the money get money from taxpayers who don't have the money.
The more money you have, the more things you get for free.
I mean, it's crazy, but unfortunately that's the way it is.
And I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree they should build it themselves. That's not going to happen. So I've kind of moved on from that.
Yeah.
And I'm curious now to see the package that the city, the county, the state come up with in terms of getting this thing done. I mentioned before about bonds and things like that, that they're not taking it to the ballot because they know it's going to fail. So they're not going to put anything on the ballot. And that was one of the things that I kept, going back a few months ago, I wrote that big story on the stadium, and my thought was like, you got to go now. If you're going to do this, you got to go now.
Yeah.
You got to get the financing in place now. And if you use Minnesota, And the way that they did it, it was like 4 years out. Well, we're at that point.
Yep.
But if they're not going to put it on the ballot and they're trying to go other ways around it, I don't know. Like in one breath, D. Haslam stands up there and says, we want to do what's best for the fans. Yet you're not going to give the fans a chance to vote on it because they know it would fail.
Billionaires, owners never want to do what's best for the fans. They only want to do it.
I don't know that I agree with that.
Oh, come on.
No.
They only care about their pockets.
Well, yes, they do, of course.
That's all they care about.
But I'm not going to. But there are, like Dan Gilbert, for all the wars that he and I had over the years, he does very much care about the fans of Cleveland. He does. Now, where does that rank on his own personal interest list? I don't know. But he very much can, and I can only speak to Dan because that's the.
But they make it seem like it's the first priority, and it's not. It's not.
Making money is always the first priority.
Yeah.
Always.
That's right.
But I do think that the owners have a sense of delivering for the fans.
You know, this was the first time throughout this entire process that I can remember the mayor kind of giving in a little bit. And when D. Haslam said we are willing to do what's in the best interest of the fans, it was almost like Mayor Bill was like, okay, watch this. I'm about to put the ball right back in your court.
Right.
Here goes this amount of money.
Right.
And we're going to put this towards this. You know, we all know parking downtown Cleveland when it comes to Browns games can be crazy. You can even have this parking garage whenever it's a game day.
Yeah.
But not only that, and I read this in a news article yesterday. Jason, help me out with this. I think that's the south side of the stadium. It's like 20 acres of land there where the parking lot is, right?
Willard Garage?
Yeah, it's on the backside of Willard. But it's like, you know, if you come around where the Science Center is, it's the Browns parking lot that's it right off the lake. There was an article that said that not only is this the first time that Bibb is willing to budge a little bit, but he's even willing to sit down and have talks with the Haslams about being inclusive on developing a lakefront and renovating the stadium. So it's like, here's the give and take. Can you move and build the stadium anywhere else downtown Cleveland? No. Can you put a roof on an existing stadium? No. But I can give you the money to renovate, and guess what? The city and the ownership group can come out with a way to take down all that useless space, and let's see if we can build some hotels, restaurants right there around our renovated stadium. And so to me, this was Bibb saying, okay, if you're really about leaving this downtown for the fans, this is the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Yo move.
My sense is the majority of fans want the dome in Brook Park.
Probably.
Yeah.
And Dee said that. She said it was a very unscientific poll that
Same for me.
Feedback that they've got is, and for whatever it's worth, the people fans who email me or whatever have all been very much pro dome. But that doesn't mean anything.
Earl, you live in the city, so what do you think?
I live in the city.
Yeah.
I used to be a season ticket holder as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you grow up as a Browns fan in this city, you adapt these old school traditions that you don't even have nothing to do with. You're born into it. Football is played in the cold. The Browns has always been downtown Cleveland, so that's where the Browns are supposed to stay. And as you become a young adult, you repeat these things that's always been said to you, not because you really feel this way.
It's just the way it is.
But it's just the way it is. But when this came around, this last time around, you know, I had a more realistic expectation and viewpoint.
Yeah.
One, I think it's better for everybody if the Browns go build a dome in Brook Park. It does create a better fan experience. I sat outside pouring rain in for 4 quarters before.
Yeah.
I done sat outside in the cold. I don't care how tough you is. Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to spend all that type of money to not really be able to enjoy yourself. But not only that, I think it gives the city an opportunity to develop the lakefront. And I know it's going to be a lot of people from a certain generation that says for the last 50 years, the city has been talking about redeveloping the lakefront. The only optimism I can give you is you got a young mayor with new ideas that's innovative. So times is changing right now. You know, I just think that move is better for the Browns, it's better for the fans, and it's better for the city of Cleveland all the way around.
And you live in the city. Do you have you talked to friends? Like,
because here's the thing. You know, I think we get caught up on them being in Brook Park and that being a surrounding suburb and not actually Cleveland. And so we joke and be petty about the Brook Park Browns. But if we being really honest with ourselves, most places in this city, it takes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes max to get to. I know I drive towards that way every day during the school year to take my daughter to school. You know, if I'm dropping her off at Warrensville and coming to work, I come 77, you know.
I mean, traveling around here is the best.
So it's like, when I really think about it to myself, you know, I go out to Brook Park now to go out to eat, to go shop, depending on where I want to go.
Yeah.
And I stay Euclid. So I know damn well I wouldn't have a problem traveling to go see the Browns
Yeah.
if I really wanted to go do so.
Yeah.
All right, we'll leave it there, Mike. Go ahead. Let's kick off the next hour with some more Browns talk. What do we got?
We got some more Browns. We got a little Cavs talk at the end, and then a hypothetical that I'm interested to see you guys answer to. Before we get to our on-the-field Browns topic today, a quick word from Fanta. You guys know I love sports. I love them so much. I never want them to stop, but as we get deeper and deeper into the summer, we have fewer and fewer games, and the sports just aren't sportsing like I want them to. But FanDuel lets me keep the sports going whenever I want. All I have to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime I'm in the mood. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. So head over to FanDuel.com/UCSS and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball and the ultimate Cleveland sports show. After practice yesterday, Kevin Stefanski said he expects both Jed Wills and Jack Conklin to be ready and healthy for week 1, despite the fact that neither has yet to practice so far in training camp. Jed Wills has been out since week 7 of last season. He had a knee scope surgery on top of an MCL injury. Jack Conklin, I believe he tore his ACL. He was out after week 1 when he got injured against Cincinnati. Neither has played in quite a while, and neither has practiced yet this preseason. So I'm curious, Jason, Earl, Bull, we'll start with Jason. Are you buying Kevin Stefanski's optimism that both will be ready and healthy for week 1?
Well, Kevin doesn't ever say anything, so if he's saying they're ready for week 1, I believe him. They're probably ready to play right now.
Right.
If they're ready to play if he's saying that.
I mean, that injury to Conklin was 11 months ago. I mean,
yeah.
And he's an offensive lineman. It's not like he's got a – I think he'd be all right.
I mean, but Jed's far more important than Jack Conklin at this point.
Right, but that wasn't as serious. What was Conklin's? What was Jed's injury? That wasn't a torn ACL.
It was an MCL something. It was never fully disclosed, the extent of the MCL, and he had his knee scoped, which is what Dalvin Tomlinson just had.
So a couple things on the offensive line, guys, is that I was stunned when Greg Cosell spoke as highly as he did about Jedrick Wells. This man studies the tape like nobody else. There's no emotion from Greg Cosell. There's no, I love this guy. I like it. It's all, here's what I've seen. Here's what I watch. Here's what I'll tell you.
Yeah.
And in the end, he said Jedrick Wills is a top half starting offensive lineman.
My guy.
So I've been killing the guy for years.
I just want average.
And I said to Greg, no, I didn't say this to Greg. I said, I don't know where I said this.
He said it on the show.
I said it on the show?
To us on Wednesday.
That maybe it's all the, oh no. But this part that I'm about to say, you don't even know what to say.
Does it have to say with Joe Thomas?
It does.
You did tell us. Say it again because Jason wasn't
here. So I'm going to say it again because you weren't here.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was like with Jerome Ford last year. That was the example I used, so I'll say it again. Jerome Ford, we were kind of down on him last year. But part of it was we're so used to seeing Nick Chubb be amazing.
You don't want to be the guy that replaces the guy.
That Jerome Ford was okay.
Yeah.
But it looked worse because it was comparing it to Nick Chubb. And I wonder if it's the same thing with Jed. Joe Thomas was so good that we see Jed have 3-4 plays where he looks like crap.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, he sucks. Well, he doesn't suck. He's just not Joe Thomas.
I do think Jed hurts himself a little bit with the body language.
His body language is terrible,
awful.
and he does have
awful.
He has plays where it seems like he takes off.
I mean, Zach and I think it was the Buffalo game in Detroit, and the Browns come out of the tunnel, and Zach goes, "Watch Jed, just watch him."
Yeah.
And they come jogging out of the tunnel, and they all get on the field, and they start stretching, warming up. And Jed jogs off the field and goes down and sits on the bench and goes like this.
They should have drafted Tristan Wirfs, let's be honest.
And it's like, and watching him stretch, and like everyone else is like going through the stretch. And Jed takes 27 minutes to tie his shoes and get his wrist taped and all the things that should have been done already. And it's the little things like that. Yeah. But I've always thought he's average. He had a couple terrible games at the start of last year. Terrible games. But he is what he is. He's an average left tackle. You can do better. You can do better.
Definitely.
You can do a lot worse.
Yes.
And it's hard to find better. It's hard from where they're at and where they're drafting. It's hard to find better. So you got what you've got with him.
Yeah.
I think he's very average. I'd love to hear Cosell say he's above average in top 10.
He did.
I'd take that every time.
It's funny because I 100% agree with Bull on this. I think because of who you were coming up behind, the expectations is through the roof. And
he's a Hall of Famer.
And it clouds your judgment.
And if you don't believe that, ask every kicker before Dustin Hopkins that came here at the field, Dawson.
Right, yeah.
We was ready to run their ass out of town the first time you even thought about missing the field goal because he set the bar so high. when it comes to Jed, I think he is average. We should have drafted Tristan Wirfs, but average is I can take that. Can we get better? Yes, but because of Joe Thomas playing that position, I do look at Jed sometimes, and I think I have this unrealistic expectation of him being this, all-pro, Pro Bowl
He's never going to be that.
Future Hall of Famer, and that's not who he is. What he is he's a piece of the puzzle on the offensive line that if he does his job and everybody else does his job, everything should be okay.
When he messes up, it is so glaring.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
And it's not every play, though. It's just a handful of times.
Right.
But the fact that, he just stops. Again, it's the body language.
Yep.
It's that's effort. But just sometimes his body language does not help him out at all. But I don't think he's bad. I certainly don't think he's terrible. I think he is what he is.
Yeah. Steve Becker, our executive producer, texted us an article before the show, which was based on a Bleacher Report article suggesting the Browns should trade Jack Conklin to the Chiefs for a 3rd and a 5th round pick. Now, listen, I don't like Jack Conklin's contract, but it's the last year of the deal at this point, so who cares? If I'm the Browns, I'm not trading any tackles because all 3 of their tackles
are hurt last
year.
year.
He's got another year after this.
That he's guaranteed money? I don't think next year is guaranteed, is it?
I don't know. I thought he's got another year after this. I don't know the guaranteed numbers.
Yeah, well, maybe it is. I guess if you get a 3rd round pick from him, you consider it, but
I would not.
I would not because they got so many injury problems
with
tackle.
Why trade him?
We ended up with 3 dudes off the street playing tackle last year. And the more depth you have,
and
the
DeJuan
better.
Jones, let's face it, at his size, it's going to be hard to keep him healthy.
Absolutely, yes. That's what I was going to say. DeJuan is not a sure thing to stay healthy all year.
Nope.
I mean, so at the end of practice at the Greenbrier, they line up on the field and they got to run back and forth the width of the field, not the length, the width of the field. Mm-hmm. And DeJuan was last every time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't close.
Right.
And the last sprint, he was basically walking the last 20,
Was Jed
25
doing
feet.
it too?
No, Jed wasn't doing
yeah.
it. And he's just a massive. DeJuan Jones makes Joe Bitonio look small when they stand next to each other. It's unbelievable how big he is.
Yes.
And he could be elite. He could be an elite tackle. But he's got to stay healthy and he's got to get the mental side down.
Yeah.
But
you wonder what happens if he's not a starter at the beginning.
He's
of the
going
year.
to start.
100%?
I mean, I'm not the coach, but yeah, I think he's going to start.
So you think Conklin's going to be on the bench?
Yeah.
If everybody's healthy?
Yeah, I think Conklin he's lost the starting job. I think he's the backup.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
You mentioned Conklin's contract. Just to clarify, he has no guaranteed money next season.
Yeah, okay, good.
If he were to be cut, just a dead cap hit of slightly under $8 million, certainly palatable as opposed to whatnot. But, yeah, his cap hit next season, if he's on the team, $19 million. If he's cut, $8 million, no guarantee.
So this is his last year.
Yeah, he's gone after this season. But listen, when you're trying to win a Super Bowl, you don't trade guys who could be useful for draft picks.
Did we figure that out last year with the quarterback?
Right. That's it. I mean, you just don't do that.
Because I know it's been a while, but, with Conklin being that rotational tackle, he played some left tackle when he was at Michigan State. Now, of course, when he got to Tennessee, Taylor Lewan was there, so it wasn't none of that. He was going on the right side. But
he probably could do it.
A veteran that can play right or left tackle as your alternate, I'll take that.
And at this point, the cap isn't a concern.
Nope.
I don't see the incentive to trade.
No.
Nah.
I get it. A 3rd round pick could be valuable, but in the end, you're trying. If they were not a Super Bowl contender,
they'll take another receiver they miss on with a 3rd round pick.
But not only that, we talk a lot about Amari being this tutor to Jerry Jeudy. Well, we understand that the Browns are preparing themselves to have a different looking offensive line in the next season or two. So you want as many veteran teachers on that offensive line and in that room as you possibly can, especially with the young guys that's been here for a year
and especially with a young now coach at the position.
Keep
it like that.
All right, Mike.
You guys ready to have a little Browns quiz to test your knowledge of the 2024 roster?
Love it.
We're going to get to that after a quick word from eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home some big wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers.
We got to start coming up with a date for our fantasy league draft.
We do.
And by the way, we only have 10 teams. So do we stay at 10, or do we allow 2 fans to join the league? Or what do you think we should do?
We'll have a powwow off air.
Yeah.
What's that?
2 more
We'll have a
teams, but we can
powwow
figure out
off
how
air.
we go about it.
Yeah.
2 more teams.
Excuse me.
So
10
full
teams is
disclosure
insane.
Yeah.
on this particular quiz. A, always looking for ways to get our chat and our viewers involved, and we
Okay.
appreciate every single one of you guys for tuning in. So play along. And Ant's going to be monitoring the chat, and we'll see if we can get some answers. I know you guys are on a 30-second delay, but if you guys can beat them, we'll see if we can point it out and give some winners to the chat as well. I made this in mind, Jason, forgetting that you were on the show today. I know you hate these, and G. Bush is usually in that seat on Friday, so I made this with G. Bush in mind, but we made it, and we're going to do it. So, Jason, I love you. I know you hate doing this, but you're going to have to play along and suck it up, buddy. So
Yeah, let's go.
I'm a team player.
This is
Let's
testing
go.
your trivia
Yeah.
on the current Browns roster.
Are you going to, like, name some random players, and we got to say
No,
if they're
I'm going to
fakes
ask
or
a
not?
question, and you're going to see if you can give us the answer.
Okay.
So it's
Fair.
like you ask a question, then it's Jerome Ford for 200 type thing?
It's just an answer. It's not
Go
a
ahead.
true or false. It's the answer is going to be either.
Go ahead. Just answer.
Yeah,
You'll see.
I got
Yeah,
an idea.
you'll
Just
see.
just
You'll
start.
see.
Yeah.
Question number 1. According to 247 Sports, who was the highest rated high school recruit on the Browns? So coming into college, on the high school ranks, which player on the Browns was the highest rated high school recruit?
How the hell would we know that?
Yeah, this is crazy.
Because you guys are supposed to be the
There's
expert on all
90
things
players.
Browns.
I mean, who would have experts on what they did in high school?
Don't overthink these.
Too late.
Earl, is this your first time on the panel for a game?
Yeah.
Do you feel the pressure?
Outside of fence riders, I do feel the pressure. I feel like I'm about to be labeled
I'll
as
tell you, the chat's got a bunch of these right already.
Yeah, I'm about to be labeled as an incompetent Browns fan. And
Shout out
somebody
to Evan, Phil, John. You guys are the first ones I've seen already who had the answer correct.
All right.
Let's see. Earl,
What do you got, Earl?
who says you? Is that Deshaun Watson?
That's exactly what I put. To the
Deshaun
T.
Watson.
I think it might be Jerry Jeudy, but I put DW4.
3 answers. Nick Chubb, 2 for Deshaun. 3 incorrect answers.
Is it Jeudy?
It is not Judy.
Oh.
The chat, like I said, a couple of those guys got it right. It was Myles Garrett, the 11th highest rated
yeah.
recruit in the
Oh, wow.
history of 247 Sports Ranking.
It is kind of obvious. Like,
Yeah.
these guys didn't just come out of
Usually when
nowhere.
Mike asks those questions, they're trick answers.
No, not that. Not that.
All right.
This second question.
In fairness, Anthony did say don't overthink it.
Right.
So.
This second question's a spin-off of the first. I
All
mentioned
right.
Myles was the 11th highest rated high school recruit in the history of 247 Sports. Is he the highest rated recruit to ever play for the Browns, though? That's the question I'm asking here now.
I mean,
We got 50-50 here.
who on earth would possibly know this? I guess you're right. It's 50-50.
It's a yes or no answer. And bonus points if you can get it right.
To ever play. Didn't have to be drafted, but ever play, period.
Ever play for the Browns. There are 10 high school recruits who are rated higher than Myles Garrett. Did any of them ever play for Cleveland?
You mean in his class or ever or in
No,
any
ever.
class?
In the history of their recruiting.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
No. No. I can't see Earl's. Nope.
MJ.
3 wrong answers again.
Yes?
Jadavian Clowney, the highest rated recruit 247 Sports has ever recruited.
We
ranked.
said
got
no.
it right.
We were right. What are you talking about?
Oh, you're right. Sorry. You guys are right. Yes,
We
you guys
guessed,
are all correct.
you know,
You guys
those-
are all correct. Yes.
Earl and I guessed people, and we were wrong about who we guessed.
No. You guys, you guys are right.
Yeah.
All right. This next one has nothing to do with high school rankings. The question is: the Browns' current roster has the most players currently from which college football program or programs?
Ooh. They have more from that program than any other team in the NFL, or what? They have
On the Browns roster.
On the Browns roster.
what college is represented
Yes.
the most? Okay.
Yes.
I'm about to get this wrong.
Jason feels confident on this one.
He does.
I don't care. I just wrote the first thing that came to mind. I actually do feel good about the answer, though.
All right. No, give me that.
Bull's really trying here.
Oh.
Exactly.
Okay.
I like my answer better than yours. That's a good answer.
I'm probably wrong.
I'm wrong too.
Go ahead.
Y'all ready?
I wrote Alabama.
That's what I got.
I got
Bama.
LSU.
Bama, LSU.
I was going to write Miami.
There are 2 correct answers.
Oh.
And Alabama is one of them.
Oh, nice.
The other, Ohio State.
That again.
Because you guys guessed Bama, can you name the 5 players on the Browns' current roster?
Judy,
Cooper.
Wills, Cooper.
It's 3. There's 2 more.
Those are the 3. Those are the 3 that I based my answer on. I could think of it. I didn't know.
Who are the other 2?
Dalvin Tomlinson
Oh,
and Tony Fields. Can you name the 5 Buckeyes on the
Denzel.
Browns roster? Denzel.
Whippler.
Whippler.
The kid they just drafted this year, the defensive
Mike
line.
Hall.
Mike Hall.
Yeah.
Hickman.
Hickman.
Yep.
And
You're not counting Tommy Togiai, are you?
I'm not. You already mentioned him in the show. We've already talked about him.
That makes it
Literally the
even
last-
worse.
Yeah, right?
Last segment.
What was last segment? I don't remember last segment.
Me
Oh,
neither.
DeJuan Jones.
DeJuan Jones, there you go.
Yeah.
5 players from Bama,
Yeah.
5 players from Ohio State.
Okay.
Next up, is Ken Dorsey the only coach on the Browns staff to be named an All-American in college?
A Division I All-American?
Division I All-American.
No. Okay.
No for Bull.
No.
PA. No for Earl. The correct answer is no, because Mike Vrabel in 1999 was a first-team All-American.
There you go.
I figured with him and Deuce on this coaching staff, it was going to be one of the 2.
I was thinking Deuce. Is Vrabel technically a coach on the staff?
According to this quiz, he is.
Okay.
He's considered a consultant, but that's
All right.
close enough.
Yeah.
Can you guys name the 4 players in the Browns with 1,000 career rushing yards? Current players. 4 current players
4 current players?
on the Browns with 1,000 rushing yards.
Oh, 1,000 career rushing
Yeah,
yards.
1,000 career
Oh,
rushing
okay. I was like, what?
There's 4.
I got it.
Are all answers locked in?
Mine are. You guys?
I only
Yeah,
have
this is
3.
wrong.
I only have 3. I don't care.
More? Who's more who?
Elijah.
Elijah Moore?
I knew that was wrong. I just put something out there.
Oh, Watson. That's a good one. Is it Watson? Does Sean have 1,000?
Oh, I didn't have Ford.
Well, Ford wouldn't have 1,000.
Yeah, Ford doesn't have 1,000.
He had 8-something last year.
I didn't tell you. I didn't give you the
Okay.
answer yet.
You got Chubb, I got Watson, Chubb, Foreman, and Hines.
And Bull, you were correct.
Yeah!
Those are the 4
Yeah, I forgot
Browns
Watson.
currently that have 1,000 career.
What is
rushing
Ford?
yards.
Ford didn't get in.
800 in 800s.
Okay.
Does
I
not
didn't
have 1,000. All right, next up. Which number is higher? Dalvin Tomlinson's career sack number or the amount of total interceptions that Denzel Ward
Now,
had?
this is a vintage trick, Mike.
Yeah. I mean, sacks are easier to come by than interceptions. Tomlinson doesn't have a ton, though.
Get high off this marker. Good Lord.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm going sacks.
Tomlinson sacks. The other 2
Ward.
Ward interceptions. Before you take this, Steve, the answer is 16 to 15.
Oh, wow.
It's tight.
Yeah.
But the winner is Snacks, who has 16 sacks
Right.
in his
I'm
career
dominating.
compared to 15
Domination.
interceptions.
Oh, are we keeping score, Anthony, or no?
That
Yeah,
damn
you had
Arizona
5 right now,
game.
Bull.
That Arizona game, that's what did it.
Yeah. That was all the sacks for the year, I think.
He did. He had all 3 sacks
Against
last
that
year
Arena League quarterback.
against Clayton Tune. Next up, we got 2 more questions.
Okay.
Deshaun Watson led the NFL in 2020 with 4,823 passing yards. But is that the highest single-season mark of any player on the Browns?
What?
Has any player on the
That's
Browns
a trick question.
thrown for more than 4,823 passing yards in a
Any
season?
current player?
Current player.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, that's a trick question.
Oh,
We also know this.
yeah. Wait, I got to read the question again. Led the NFL. So do you want the player's name, or do you want just yes or no?
Yes or no, and then if you provide the name, that's a bonus. But
Is that the highest?
Earl finally feels confident in one. I like the confidence, Earl.
Jameis.
Yeah, famous Jameis.
3 for Jameis, 3
Crab
correct
legs.
answers. Do you remember the amount of yards Jameis threw for in 2019?
Wasn't it like 52?
I thought it was like 52 and some change or something like that.
5109.
Yeah.
Absurd.
Didn't he throw 30 touchdowns and 30 picks that
That
year?
was the same season, correct?
30 for 30.
Infamous 30-30 season.
He was great for fantasy, even though he threw those picks because they were always throwing the ball.
Yeah.
And the last question, the hardest question. I need you guys to think about this one for a while. Does any current player on the Browns ever recorded a safety?
Oh, my God.
Not a single player on the Browns' current roster has ever recorded
defensively?
a safety.
Or been sacked for a safety.
No.
You're talking about
Like
defensive.
defensively recorded a safety. Is that true or false? That none of them have ever recorded a safety? Well, if you get this right, you take the home the dub.
Don't I get it any either way?
I'm refusing to give you premature congratulations. False. False. True. Earl, this is for bragging rights. This is for pride. And the real Browns fan on the panel gets the last one right. It is true that no player on the Browns has ever
Miles
recorded
Garrett
a
had one
safety.
last year.
I actually thought Tony Fields had one.
No, Miles Garrett had a strip sack in the end zone.
Oh, that's right.
That
It
resulted
wasn't
in
a
a
safety.
touchdown. It was not a
yeah.
safety, which means final tally, Bull the Bengals fan won our Browns quiz. Jason, the dead-hearted Cleveland person, came in second, and Earl, our diehard Browns fan. Earl, I'm disappointed. Came in last on that.
Should have asked me all MJ questions. I would have got everything right.
All right, what cornerback on the Browns got torched in the playoff game last night?
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Is there a D, all of the above?
Fair. That's fair.
You guys ready to talk Cavs for a sec? Because we're going to talk Cavs next. If you guys are in the chat, if you're watching, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It costs you $0, 0 cents, and helps us out a ton on the back end, so we appreciate you guys for doing that. Jason, I was thinking about this the other day. We keep talking about the internal improvements that the Cavs are banking on Kenny Atkinson bringing with this current roster. They re-signed Jared Allen. They gave Mobley the max extension. They re-signed Donovan Mitchell. Darius Garland's locked in. It's essentially the same team coming back, and we're hoping that Evan Mobley takes a jump.
Hold on. I just saw that the Cavs signed Dean Wade to a 5-year, $100 million extension.
Stop.
Karis LeVert coming up next week. Don't worry about it.
Karis LeVert is a last year's deal. That would be quite the shocking move.
Yeah.
We keep thinking that these guys can make leaps, though, and hoping that their internal improvements enough to keep up with some of the external improvements other teams in the East have made. And we've talked about Mobley. We've talked about Garland, Strus, all the ancillary pieces. But is there still a jump Donovan Mitchell can take, Jason? Or have we already seen Donovan reach the highest level of his upside in terms of being a star in this league?
I mean, he's going to year 8. I think he's pretty much he is what he is at this point. I was just looking up his numbers. He's right around between 26 and 28 points a game over the last 4 years. I understand it's a new system, it's a new coach and all that. They're going to emphasize the offensive end. Donovan has played the best basketball of his career in Cleveland. That's indisputable. If you look at the numbers, his 2 years here, his 5 years in Utah, he's better here. He's been better here. But I don't know that there's another level to this. I think he is what he is, and there's nothing wrong with that. He's a really good player.
Does he make and it's not fair to compare anybody to LeBron, but LeBron made everybody better.
Yeah.
Does Donovan do that?
No, not to that.
I mean, does any
Nobody
who does
to
that?
that extent, though.
Yeah.
Who does it? Who does that in the NBA?
Like to that extent?
Yeah.
Jokic.
Well, I don't know if anybody does it to that extent.
I was going to say Joker, yeah.
That's it.
He's the only player that makes everybody better?
Maybe
To
Giannis.
that level of LeBron, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think Donovan makes guys better, but to compare him to LeBron in that sense, I don't think is fair.
Because I'm just trying to think of an area where maybe he could improve. I mean, as Jason said, the guy's a superstar. I mean, what more can you ask from him?
In my eyes, he's a top 15 player in the league. Top 15 to 20, probably 15 player in the league. He's not going to win an MVP. I don't think. I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe in year 8. But I don't think he'll ever win an MVP. But he's always going to be in the conversation for All NBA. He might catch some MVP votes depending on the year, depending on how things go. That's a tremendous player to have on your team. So, I don't think as you look at the Cavs and they need to get more out of Donovan Mitchell, I don't think that's it. I think they need Donovan to be Donovan. And, yes, he can make guys around him better by just drawing in defenses and making the right play. Now, sometimes we've seen him just take the game over, and there's times where that's called for, and you have to do that. But there's other times where I would like to see him defer a little bit more we've talked about 100 times, just to bring the group along, just to give Darius experience of that. And Darius did get some experience at that last year for as lousy of an overall season as he had.
Yeah.
He did have the ball in his hand at the end of games sometimes. I'd like to see them give Evan that opportunity this year where you run through Evan sometimes at end of games and give him looks. But I have no complaints with how Donovan has played.
Go ahead, Earl.
I think he can add probably a few more levels to his game, but at the same time, I can understand, like when Jason said, he is who he is. That's not a bad statement. He's a superstar player. He's damn good at a lot of different things. But the reason why I say that is because, to me, he comes off as a dude that's very receptive to coaching, and he's interested in being coached and being taught new things. I seen this on social media after the season ended, but he does this jump step or drop step when he gets to the paint, similar to what Dwayne Wade used to do. And he said that back in Utah, Johnny Bryant, which is one of the Cavs assistant coaches now, pointed that out to Donovan Mitchell, and it was something that they would start to work on. And it's developed over the years, and now it's a part of his game. And so I think that, with the coaching staff that we have, if they can see some things in his archetype that might, feel like they can unlock or get to another level, I think that because he's receptive to coaching, that he might be able to add another niche or two to his game that he doesn't currently have.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I look at it and I'm like, well, Darius Garland and Mobley just have to be a lot better. That's the Cavs' only hope. It is stunning that they've made not a single move this offseason. Outside of the draft, they haven't added a single player.
Money.
Well, I wrote about this last week. I believe that they're trying to stay under the luxury tax this year because they're trying to expand the window as much as possible. Once you hit repeat offender status in the NBA, it is real. And the Cavs hit repeat offender status LeBron's final year in Cleveland, and it absolutely drove – it hangs over the franchise because it's $4 for every dollar over the cap.
Right, but he's a multi-billionaire.
It doesn't matter.
Why?
When you're talking about tax bills and the level that they're going to, it matters. Even to guys like Dan Gilbert, even like Joe Lacob has paid obscene amounts in tax to where Joe Lacob has finally said, "Uncle, I can't do it anymore. Like we have to cleanse ourselves and restart this clock."
Right.
So by staying under and Isaac Okoro is going to be sort of the pendulum here. I'm curious to see what happens with him. But if they can stay out of the tax this year and wait until next year, which I believe has always been the plan, to start the tax clock next year when Mobley's max kicks in, you are not a repeat offender until, I don't have it in front of me, the fourth season. So if the clock starts next year, I think 28-29 would be their first year considered a repeat offender.
Okay.
Well, most of these contracts are off the books by then. It doesn't mean like they couldn't re-sign more and stay longer.
Right.
But you're just trying to expand your window as much as possible without making financial decisions drive roster decisions. And it absolutely does. It gets to the point when you are a repeat offender, it is crippling, even to the richest of owners.
Yeah. I'm not going to debate that. I get what you're saying, but in the end, it feels like the Cavs are stuck in the mud. I know you still think they can win a championship as is, and maybe you're right because the league has kind of come to the middle a little bit. They just feel like such a long shot unless Evan Mobley's game goes up a lot.
I don't know that I'm certainly not going to pick them to win a championship next year. But these guys are young enough and they have this group together now. Now, it doesn't mean they don't make any trades for the next 3-4 years.
But is it good enough, ultimately?
As they continue to grow, I think it could be. Like, not all these teams that are ahead of them are going to stay ahead of them 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And I think the Cavs are trying to play the long game here of we're going to be – it's sort of like the Guardians of we're going to contend every year, and then we're going to take our chances. The Cavs will be in it every year. And we've already established, at least I believe, the NBA going forward is going to look much differently than the NBA has looked our entire lifetimes in terms of the amount of teams that are in it, the amount of teams have a chance. And Guardians executives will tell you, like, we want to be in it every year. We want to give ourselves a chance every single year. We're trying to compete every year. So it's almost.
But everybody's got a shot in baseball. That's not really the case in basketball.
Not everybody. The Oakland A's don't have a shot.
No. I mean, all the teams that make the playoffs have a shot.
But I'm saying the Guardians view every season as we want to contend and be at the top of the division every year.
But it hasn't worked, to be fair. I mean, it's worked, but ultimately it's not worked with the biggest prize.
It hasn't worked to win a World Series, but they've been in it every single year. And I think the Cavs are sort of looking at that as we want to give ourselves a chance every year, and we have these 4 players under control now for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
We're going to be in it, and we're going to give ourselves a chance. And the way that the landscape in the NBA is changing, we'll take our chances with this group and new coach, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And if they get to the end of next year and it doesn't work, and they look at the two big lineup, or they look at the backcourt and say we have to make changes, they'll have the ability to do that just based, like, these guys will have trade value unless, they completely plummet again. If Darius has another bad year, they're really in trouble.
They're screwed there, yeah.
But, if he bounces back and has a good year, if Jarrett plays the level that he played last year, you've got options there and you've got some flexibility.
But in the end, unless Mobley's game improves offensively, it's not realistic for them to win a title.
I tend to agree with that. I'd probably agree with that.
Yeah. For me, when I look at it, I think when you're given the opportunity to be the lead man and constructing something, there's a lot of pride that comes with that. 2 months ago, I did a show on the radio, and the question was, is Kobe Altman insane, or does he have a crazy amount of faith? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. And then faith is like faith in things unseen. You have a huge amount of belief that things that hasn't come true yet will come true. And I think he's, kind of teetering that line. But when you look at Evan Mobley, Donovan Mitchell, and Jared Allen all getting contract extensions this particular offseason, I think a lot of people can look at that and say, okay, this is a double down or a deep commitment to this core 4. But to Jason's point, because he brought this up a couple weeks ago, I think this is giving the Cavs more wiggle room than what the fans might think. Because to me, a year from now, Jared Allen is more expendable because of the years of control that's on this deal. And if the Cavs is willing to go into that luxury tax next year, you don't know the surplus of players that will become available. And I just think a bounce back year from Darius Garland, let's say he's better than what he was last year, but you kind of uncover the fact that this doesn't fit. Well, he still has more trade value, and so you can get more assets back. I wouldn't double down on this being a long-term commitment to the core 4, but I definitely think it puts the Cavs in a position to be able to make more moves next offseason than they were able to this offseason.
Yeah, and I do think there's some degree the Cavs are thinking, well, for years people were telling the Celtics to break it up, and they traded other parts. But they kept their 2 best players together, and eventually it paid off.
Now, their 2 best players are better than any 2 the Cavs have.
I agree, but
But the Celtics is a great comparison of it took. Look at how many years it took, for them to figure it out.
We got used to the LeBron's here, and we could win overnight, and it hadn't worked that way all throughout history all the time.
Yeah, NBA teams, you don't normally have the best player in the world come back to your team, and then you make a trade for another superstar, and off you go.
It didn't happen to Denver overnight. It didn't happen for Milwaukee overnight.
Denver's another great example of how long Jamal Murray and Jokic stayed together and had to play together to figure it out. So it does. It takes a lot of time. And I do think the Cavs have really, really good players. Now, are they championship level? I'm not ready to pick them this year, but 2 years from now?
Who knows? Yeah, that's fair. Go ahead, Mike.
One thing back to the initial question on is there another level to Mitchell's game, I do think something we could see get unlocked this year from Donovan, which we saw a sliver of last year when Garland got hurt in that 20-game stretch, was more point guard Donovan, where he had the responsibility of creating almost every possession, and that took a toll on his body. I don't think that's sustainable over an 82-game season. But he showed me more playmaking prowess in that stretch than I thought he may have had in his game, because he was incredible during that stretch. I'm talking like elite, top 5 in the NBA level play for that 3-week, 4-week stretch. I was thinking about how Kenny Atkinson is using his offense in France, and I don't know if you guys have watched any of the French games in the Olympics. They beat Japan the other day in a crazy game.
Did you see that video
with Wemby and the little guy?
Yeah, the little guy in Japan.
Remind me to come back to that
crazy.
in a sec. Yeah, one of the craziest
Like 2
pictures
feet
of all
taller
time.
than him.
Literally 2 feet, 5'5" or 7'4". But I don't think the French offense is going to be exactly what the Cavs run, but it's clearly constant motion. Like that's clearly a staple of what he wants to do.
Right.
And something I keep envisioning when I'm trying to put the Cavs pieces into place with this offense is Donovan's going to be used as an off-ball decoy more than he probably ever has in his life. And if the Cavs can find ways to get him in advantageous positions, coming off pin downs or backside screens or whatever on the weak side of the offensive option, to swing the ball to him so he can attack a closeout, I think that can unlock not a ton because he's already a really, really good player, but unlock options and possibilities we haven't seen him do yet. And if Donovan can take advantage of that and the Cavs put him in those positions where a defender has to make a choice, run out at Donovan or give him an open 3, and then Donovan can then react to whatever the defense does, and if he can get a foot in the paint, good luck stopping him. He's a great playmaker from that part too. I think that's the little step in the game that he has left to go from a top 15 guy, Jason, to maybe 8 or 9 right on the back end of the top 10. It's not a giant jump, you're right. I think we've seen 95% of Donovan, but I do think there's a little level left to go in terms of, 5% higher to make him top 15 to top 10, if that makes sense.
Cavs will take it.
All right. I know we got another topic, Mike. You want me to throw a crazy Browns topic at you for a minute or no?
Yeah, then I got one more. You could end the Cavs clip. Madden ratings for quarterbacks just came out, and people are big mad.
I just saw something on my phone.
Mad.
Is that what
Big,
just popped up on
big
my
All right,
mad.
I'll save this for next
Pat
week.
Mahomes,
Maybe.
99.
But I'm gonna throw this out there because I thought about this
And
today.
then save it. We'll do it.
We'll
but
save
we
it for
got to
next
get
week.
because people are big mad about these quarterback ratings.
So people get so worked up about these ratings, and they're a lot of times they're bad. Myles Garrett losing a point, whatever. But so I was listening to NFL radio driving in, and they were talking about the fact that Dak Prescott's on the last year of his contract, and apparently they're not close to signing him. And I thought to myself, this is what I thought driving in the car. I said, if Deshaun Watson has a bad year this year, I'm doing whatever it takes. I'm signing Dak Prescott next season. Because if Deshaun has a bad year this year, it's over. And I'm moving on. I know that's a very
I need to marinate on that before we could discuss
marinate on it for next week.
One thing I want to mention, it's funny, as I was driving in, I was thinking about this today. Everybody talks about he hasn't been good since 2020, right?
Yeah.
Look at all these years that have gone by
Yeah.
since he's been good. You know what fell in my head today was Chris Sale. And I know it's a different sport.
Yeah.
Chris Sale went from top of the league.
He was the best pitcher in baseball for a while.
To unplayable and hurt.
Yeah.
Ton of injuries.
Yeah.
Was terrible for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. And now he's back to Cy Young
Out of
level this
nowhere
year.
this year, the Red Sox give up on him, trade him to Atlanta, and at 35 years old, he's as good as he's ever
And
been.
they've needed him because they've had a lot of injuries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's a different sport, but it's elite to back to elite. So it's not because I'm with you. It's now or never for Deshaun.
Yeah, it's this year.
This
I
year.
think we all think he could bounce back this year. But if it doesn't happen this year, I got to move on.
I mean, look at how long Sale went without being any good.
But that's a rarity.
It's for sure
Yeah,
rare.
yeah, yeah.
But I don't know. I was just thinking about it today.
But
I'm
yeah,
like,
that's true.
It's not
That's
untrue.
true.
Didn't he no-hit the Guardians?
Chris Sale?
I think when he was in Chicago
I
or
think he
something
did.
like that.
I'm not
Everybody
sure.
no-hit the Guardians.
It was a
years
stretch.
ago.
It was a stretch where they got.
I'm
no-hit
pretty
a bunch
sure
of
Bull
times,
and I
yeah.
could have no-hit the Guardians.
Yeah, it was
a couple
close.
years ago.
And I'm a terrible pitcher. Terrible. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so let's preface this with this.
Did I rile up the chat with just making that
I
topic?
didn't even look at the chat.
Okay.
Let's preface this with this.
Yeah.
Madden ratings do not matter.
Meaningless.
Meaningless. Simply fodder for discussion.
What matters more, power rankings or Madden rankings?
Madden rankings.
I'll
Madden
defer to
rankings.
Earl on that because he still
Okay.
plays.
I actually agree with him because
Yeah.
Madden rankings, you at least have to use the
Right.
players.
Yeah.
Power rankings.
Power
are
rankings
completely-
are abstract.
Yeah, you
I
gotta
see.
control
I
over
just
that.
saw baseball power rankings. They had the Guardians like 4th or 5th. I'm like, We're 2/3 into the season. They have the best record in baseball. They're 1.
Yeah.
They're 1. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Anyway.
Okay, so I'm going to read you the list of the top 32 rated quarterbacks in the upcoming Madden 25 game.
Yes.
No surprise at the top, Patrick Mahomes, the only 99.
Okay.
Number 2, Lamar Jackson, 98.
Okay.
I'm going to keep going in chronological order. You tell me if you want to stop and discuss.
Chronological order? Numerical order?
Numerical order, excuse me. And you tell me when you want to stop to discuss. Joe Burrow, the 3rd highest rated, 93.
Okay.
Any
wow,
issues?
that's a big drop.
Time out. We go 98, 99, and we got
93?
a 5-point drop off to 93?
Yeah, that's a big
Correct.
drop.
Yeah, that's insane. I will be doing some editing. Go ahead.
What was Burrow last?
No, I don't know. I'm just saying it's a big drop.
Yeah, that's a huge
The other
drop
two
off.
guys at 99,
Well, I
98.
wonder what
drop
Burrow. I'm guessing Burrow
probably
last
was
year
higher.
96. I bet you he was 96.
Yeah, probably.
I don't have last year's, so just I'm
He
sticking
probably
to
was
this
number
year.
2 last year. Go ahead.
He was at 93 last year,
All right,
according
so
to
you-
Anthony, so the same.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Josh Allen, number 4, 92.
Okay.
Dak Prescott, number 5, 90.
I love Dak. Most underrated quarterback in the league.
Number 6, Tua, 88.
Wow. 2-6.
Woo.
These quarterback ratings is.
By the way, I'm in the middle of a dynasty draft that's going on around the clock. And it's a 2-quarterback league, and I got Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Number 7,
About 10,000
Herbert,
yards right
an
there.
87. Number 8, Jalen Hurts.
I'm sorry, who was number 7?
Herbert, an 87.
Okay.
8, Jalen Hurts, an 86.
Yeah.
9, Brock Purdy, an 85.
Okay.
10, Kirk Cousins, an 84.
Coming off a massive injury? Wow.
11, Aaron Rodgers, 83.
Also coming off a massive
Yeah.
injury, and he's 40.
Yeah.
12, Stafford, 83.
Wait. Have you not said C.J. Stroud?
Nope.
What?
Wow.
Nope.
How are they so wrong
listen,
on these things?
trust me, just run through. We're going to get to the
I say it's
reactions.
stupid. Don't get worked up about it. I'm getting worked up about it. 12 is Stafford. Go ahead.
13, Jared Goff, an 82.
Underrated.
14, your boy C.J. Stroud, the 14th highest rated quarterback, an 81.
That's crazy.
15, Jordan Love, an 81.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
16, Baker Mayfield, 79.
16.
How's that feel?
16 for Baker.
How's that feel?
17, Geno Smith, a 78.
How's that feel? Haven't gotten to Cleveland's quarterback and Baker's already on the
Jason,
board.
don't do this. It's Friday.
18,
Don't do this.
I didn't do it. They did it. Yeah.
18, Kyler Murray, a 77.
Deshaun even in the top 32?
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Relax.
Kyler Murray didn't even play last year, did he?
He's a
Oh,
77.
he played at the end of the year. Yeah.
19, Trevor Lawrence, a 77.
Yeah.
Number 20. Do you
Yeah.
think this is Deshaun? Do you
No.
think Deshaun
No.
is a top
No.
20 rated quarterback?
No.
It's Caleb Williams, the rookie, who hasn't played a game
God.
in the NFL yet. He's a 76.
Why is that a come on?
He hadn't played a game.
Jason, if you asked, take out Bears fans and Browns fans.
Yeah.
Every other fan base in America, you got to start a team right now. You're taking Deshaun Watson and Caleb Williams. I bet you most people would say Caleb Williams, whether you like it or not.
Well, with the contract situation, yes.
Forget the contract.
I mean, probably Caleb, but
Yeah.
but based on a
Doesn't
video
mean he's
game,
gonna be better,
based
but-
on a video game ranking, a guy
It's
who's
stupid.
never taken a snap before.
It's stupid. All right, 20. C.J.
Caleb.
Stroud was 12th.
I'm
The greatest rookie season we've ever seen. He was 12th.
EA Sports, Jason on your ass. Trust me.
21st.
Yeah.
Do you think this is Deshaun at 21?
No.
It's Russell Wilson at 76.
I'm willing to bet Justin Fields is ahead of
Do you
Deshaun
think
Watson.
Deshaun's 22?
No.
I think we got to be getting close.
No, name some quarterbacks that could be in the mix.
Derek Carr,
Justin
Fields, Anthony Richardson, Gardner Minshew.
Oh, Anthony Richardson should
They
have been
have
higher.
Richardson
I bet you
higher.
he's 22.
Richardson, Fields are probably both higher than
Richardson
Deshaun.
should have been higher already.
So 22
Yeah.
is Derek Carr with
Oh
a
my
75.
God, they are clueless.
Deshaun is
Derek Carr's
23
the worst quarterback.
with a 75.
Deshaun's 23.
Justin Fields 24 with a 75. Anthony Richardson 25th with a 75. So
So
those
really-
four quarterbacks
Yeah.
are all 75.
So it's a tie. Why are you saying 22, 23, 20?
Because I'm reading off the list in terms of how they rank.
So who all do they have at 75? Derek
Carr,
Deshaun,
Watson, Fields, and Richardson. Those four are 1 point higher than Drake May and Jaden Daniels, who are 26 and 27 at 74.
Can I say something as a decorated
Please.
Madden player?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put too much stock into the very first ratings that Madden put out. If you play Madden a lot, if you play online, I think every week, especially when the season starts, they update the ratings based on real-life quarterback play. So if Deshaun Watson goes out there and he has the season that we've all talked about he needs to have, at the end of the season, Deshaun Watson will probably be high 80s, low 90s.
Well, it doesn't matter. What they grade him has nothing to do with how he's going to play.
Right.
He deserves to be graded lowly based on the last couple of years. Some of those other ones, I don't understand.
Well, hold on. We got 3 more, and then there's one other thing I want to point out. Okay. Bryce Young, last year's first overall pick, 28th at a 73. Gardner Minshew, also a 73. Andy Dalton, Joe Flacco, and Will Levis, 30, 31, 32 at 72. There's no Giants quarterback on that list.
Oh, my God.
That's silly.
Daniel Jones.
Why would you have, as bad as Daniel Jones is, why would you have Andy Dalton and not Daniel Jones?
Yeah.
So once again, Madden ratings are stupid. People are big mad at this already online. Deshaun
What's
came
the
in
biggest
at 23rd.
complaint? Is the biggest complaint's got to be C.J. Stroud,
It's got to
right?
be C.J. Stroud at 14.
That's absurd.
Yeah,
that's absurd.
At 14, coming off the best rookie season.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
So,
and Jordan Love at 81 is way too low, too.
I know 2K did this, and this is a different video game. 2K did this about 7 years ago to where they made the grading scale so tough. And I've never seen Madden kind of grade the quarterbacks like this. You go 99, 98, and then a drop off all the way to 93. C.J. Stroud was the rookie of the year, and his overall is at 83 starting this game. I don't know. I mean, 2 things. Like I said, if you play these online dynasties and franchise modes, the ratings will update throughout the season.
Yeah.
But it's a video game. You can go to the settings and change whatever the hell you want to when you want to. So
you can make fishy trades like Earl did.
Yeah, for sure.
In baseball.
Like, I'll tell you right now, when I start my Browns franchise, Deshaun Watson ain't starting off as a 75 for me. He might start off as an 82 or something, but no.
Well, if you're going to do that, might as well make him 99.
The hell with it. Let's do it.
Let's go.
All right, last one we're going to get to here today, guys. I sent you this topic last night.
Yeah.
And it was, you always have those guys you like on other teams. And you always root for them, but they're never your own guy. So, Bo, we'll start with you. We'll end with her. We'll go around the horn that way. Who's one player you always wished played for a Cleveland sport or your favorite team that you could have rooted for that you never got a chance to actually root for?
Well, I did it Cleveland-wise. And my favorite Cleveland sports team, if I had to choose, is the Guardians. So it's a current player, but I would love, and I know it's not realistic, of course, unlike what I think Jason's is, which was realistic.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be amazing if Shohei Ohtani were on the Guardians?
Oh, jeez.
Again, I know it's not realistic, and it would never have happened. But Shohei being able to hit, and this year he's only hitting, but the guy is the greatest baseball player I've ever seen. I know he's got to do it longer, but you look at it, I mean, the guy's been on just – and what's not even on there is his stolen bases. He's top 5 in the league in stolen bases. He has a chance to be 40-40 this year. We haven't seen a 44 – oh, no. Well, I was going to say we haven't seen it in a while. We saw it last year. Ronald Acuna Jr. was 40-40. Yeah. You know what has never happened, I don't think? Nobody's ever done 45-45.
Well, let's go for 50-50.
Well, he can't get the – I mean,
no, I know.
Even 45-45 would be tricky. But you look at this. He has a career 3 ERA with 608 strikeouts and 481 innings. He's still relatively young. And the guy is just a magnificent player. If the Guardians had – can you imagine if they had Shohei Ohtani in their lineup right now?
Oh, man.
I mean, they'd be the prohibitive favorites to win the World Series. He is the coolest story in baseball in decades. Maybe ever.
Yeah.
And I would love him to be on the Guardians.
He'll go down as the greatest player ever.
Yes, when it's all said and done. If he stays healthy and plays at this level for another 6-7 years.
I wonder how long they're going to let him pitch, because I do think there's going to come a point where he has to quit one or the other. And I would think he quits pitching before he quits hitting.
Sure.
But I think he's got another 4 or 5 years in him, I would think.
I mean, think about it. Since he's been in the league, he's been an all-star caliber pitcher and an all-star and an MVP caliber hitter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just mind-blowing.
Yeah. He comes with a lot of hype behind him, and he seems to always back it up or exceed it. Yeah. You know, from going from a major LA market to another major LA market and everything and just everything that went into last offseason. And then for you to come out here and be having the season that you have.
You'd think he'd be distracted by all the gambling stuff that was around him.
He is on another level. Yeah. Speaking of the total opposite, every time I see something negative about Mike Trout, I just go back to This dude used to be so good, man.
Yeah, he can't stay healthy now.
So good.
Like Griffey at the end of his career.
Injuries.
Go ahead, Jason. You're up.
The first name when I saw this, the first name that came to mind for me was Pedro Martinez, and we talked about it earlier on the show, and you're right. Go back to the 97 season, and Montreal was getting ready to trade him. And the way the story goes, I never did confirm this, but I assume, I think that this is pretty much well known at this point. Montreal was asking for for Jarrett Wright, and Cleveland was offering Bartolo Colon. And had they made the deal for Jarrett Wright, imagine that rotation with Pedro, but then also Pedro and Bartolo, the way that it turned out. I mean, Martinez was the best pitcher of his generation, and was really, had they had Pedro for that 97 run,
they would have won the World Series.
They won the World Series.
No doubt.
And then he winds up going to Boston, and obviously was a key cog in them winning the series. And just before Shohei, the greatest pitcher I had seen, and maybe probably even better than
Greg
Shohei.
Maddux, huh?
I think so, yeah. Because Pedro was just overpowering. Maddux hit his spots. Maddux wasn't overpowering. He just hit his spots. Pedro
He was overpowering early in his career. He was.
See, I remember post-Cubs Braves is what I remember.
Yeah,
Maddux.
I think Pedro at his best was probably better than Maddux at his best. It's close.
Pedro's probably the best pitcher I've ever seen.
I tell you, when Dwight Gooden first came to the big leagues, I'd never seen anything like it.
Doc.
Yeah. 18,
I've
19,
never seen anything like
19
it.
years old
He
when
was.
debuted?
Look at his strikeouts per innings when he first came to the big leagues. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously, he destroyed himself with drugs, but for a couple of years, Pedro. Yeah, I mean Pedro, Maddux, and then Kershaw.
Yeah.
So I had two, but the number one guy, and they don't have any stats for mine, but the number one guy is a perfect complement to what you just said. When I seen this and I thought about it, mine is Mariano Rivera.
Wow, I thought you were going to say a football player. I'm shocked.
Well, I got a football player too, but I went Mariano because 97, my mother allowed me to stay up late during the school night to watch Game 7 of the World Series. And that was the first time in life I really had my heart broken. It wasn't a girl. It was the Indians who did it. And I go back to that ninth inning, like, man, what could have been if you could have took Nagy out and put in Mariano Rivera, we would be World Series champions. I went back 97, I was a kid, but 1.88 ERA, 43 saves that year. If I could have had him in my bullpen that particular year,
good.
just like if we would have had Pedro. Imagine both those moves. You got Pedro, hey, Mariano, come here, knife in and go in and close this out.
Mariano was a starting pitcher when he first came to the big leagues with the Yankees, briefly, and he was not good. He had like a 5 ERA. And then he went to the bullpen, became the greatest closer that's ever lived.
My football was it was Sean Taylor. I was a huge Sean Taylor fan when he was in college.
Yeah.
But I couldn't say it out loud because he played for Miami, and this is Buckeye country, so you don't say nothing like that. But I was always a huge fan of Sean Taylor, and I remember at that time the Browns had like a fan line you can call.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting at home and I'm watching the draft, and I remember calling the fan line, begging for the Browns to trade up so they can draft Sean Taylor. And if we ended up with Kellen Winslow, which at the time I was cool with that, but I really, really wanted Sean. Sean was a game changer, man.
Do you think Butch Davis listened to that?
No, he couldn't even. He didn't even take his own damn running back. And that was another thing. I remember watching like when Butch Davis was here and just being that young and like, okay, I know Jeremy Shockey played at Miami.
Yeah.
I know Clinton Portis played there. Let me go get William Green from you know what I mean? Like it didn't make sense for him knowing the players that was at Miami and not being willing to take a chance on his own guys. That was a little strange to me.
My football player would be Baker Mayfield. I'd love to have Baker back.
Here we go.
I got some chat answers I want to read for you guys.
Kidding. Go ahead.
Phil Bowman says Mike Singletary was a guy he always wanted to play for the Browns.
Yeah, good one.
Young Ackman said Ken Griffey Jr.
Sure.
William Beck, Steve Carlton. Scott Zappa said
Carlton did pitch here. He was at the end. He was washed and broken down.
Yep.
But I think he ended his career in Cleveland. I think.
But
he for sure pitched here, 100%.
So did Keith Hernandez.
Keith Hernandez stole money from them too, as did Willie Upshaw.
Dwayne Bowe stole money from the Browns.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Tequila Mockingbird said Rod Carew. Scott Zappa said Dick Butkus. And Willis Reed. Lord Supreme said Ray Lewis.
Lord Supreme, excuse me.
He said Ray Lewis. William Beck said Darryl Strawberry. Let's see what other
sweet
answers we
swing
got
Darryl
here.
Strawberry had.
Can I give you another Guardian?
Freddie B said Reggie Jackson.
Reggie, okay.
Reggie.
Oh, he's Mr. October for a reason.
Junior Caminero. I'd like to have him back in the Guardians uniform right now.
Ray
Ray
still hasn't
Jackson.
called him up.
Randy Johnson, the big unit.
That would have been good.
William Beck said Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
Sam R said Jason Bay.
Jason Bay.
I think some of these have to be a joke.
That's a random outfielder.
He had a couple good years.
Jason Bay had a couple good years.
I know that, but he's generally, it was just a random dude, pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm just reading from
He went
the
to
chat.
the Mets. He was a disaster there, as a lot of players are.
Good years in Boston.
That's
right?
it?
Went to Boston.
We got a couple super chats to wrap
Okay.
up with here. We have 2. We spent a decent amount of, actually all of overtime yesterday, Bull, giving Jason the floor to talk about his article on Deshaun, and it was our most viewed clip of July, unsurprisingly. So
It was what?
our most viewed clip of July.
Okay.
And I'm
And
sure
our,
everyone agreed with me, right?
Our 2 super chats
It was 300
are
comments
both
on
about
thing.
the article from
Are
yesterday.
you serious?
What'd you say, Earl?
No, I was
300.
telling him it was 300 comments under that clip.
And they all agreed with me, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure, yeah.
Sure.
So both super chats today come in relation to Jason's article. The first one comes from Curtis Thomas. Shout out to Jason for his Watson article. He spoke how a lot of us feel Watson is out of touch with reality. He needs to focus on playing well because he is stealing money at this point, shaking my head. Which was responded to by Christian Story, who says, Deshaun is our guy. Go Browns. Jason's allowed to voice his opinion, so be it, but he does not speak for the Browns community. We love all our dogs.
There you go.
There's a mixed opinion on it, just like with everything else.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say on it. We spent
That's it.
too much time on it yesterday.
It's exhausting.
Did you guys see the new kickoff in the Hall of Fame game
I
last
did
night?
not watch the Hall of Fame game.
I just wanted to see I didn't watch the game, but I did see the clip on
Of the kickoff?
on
And
Twitter.
how did it go?
All I wanted to see was that.
Did anything happen? Was there any exciting play or anything?
There were 8 kickoffs, 7 were returned.
Yeah.
None got further than the 32-yard
Yeah,
line.
I think the one I saw was down at the 25.
I watched because I play you all in fantasy football, and you got to be on your toes. So I was scouting those second and third round players for my 11 through 16 draft picks on fantasy football. So,
I don't think anybody played last night is getting drafted in fantasy football.
I think Case Stover would get drafted. I think Cam Akers would get drafted.
Cam Akers?
Yeah.
He had a touchdown for the Texans last night.
Yeah. Demetric Felton was out there for the Bears.
I saw that. I saw him on the box score there.
The game got rained out. Weird to say about a football game.
Yeah, right.
Well, they
And
stopped
the
in
over
third
still
quarter.
hit. Let's
Did it
go.
really?
Cleve
Yeah,
Cleve
it was a
TA.
30. It was low
Cleve
over.
TA dropped a little nugget and said the over's hitting. I don't know why. I feel good about it. So I rode with Cleve TA, your boy bull, and it hit despite not even playing the fourth.
Who have you made more money following, me or Cleve TA?
Considering I've only lost money,
Yeah, right.
significant amounts following you, Jason. Cleve TA with his win yesterday is now infinitesimally. I made that word up because that's
Yes, you did.
that's how big of a gap
Hey,
there is between
one
what
of-
I've made and with Cleve TA. and what
Speaking
I've
of
lost
bets,
with
real
you.
quick, Jason, I got a Bet Rivers parlay coming out today, which includes the I like the over in the Guardians Orioles game tonight.
One of your losses is solely my fault. The other one that I have nothing to do with.
I bet with the Bull twice a week.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Well, my parlays, I've been hitting like 3 or 4.
They played us the other
Yeah.
week, though. I can't remember who the pitcher was. You had him for over 6.5.
And he had
had
six.
6 strikeouts going to the 6th inning, and they ain't bring
took
him back
him out.
out there.
I know.
Oh, I mean, that's
I hate
ridiculous.
when that happens.
One last thing I want to bring up real quick.
Yes.
Do you guys know what Bobby Witt Jr. hit in the month of July?
Probably 400.
489
he was
for
up.
the month of July.
Wow.
That's one of the most absurd.
Yeah.
That's an entire month. Now, granted, the All-Star break, so there's
Yeah.
a few days off. 489
It's funny, we started July
with power.
talking about Stephen Kwan qualifying for the batting title. We end it with Stephen Kwan not leading the batting title. He was up by like 40 points.
Yeah, I know.
What's Witt hitting now in the year?
Kwan's hitting 333. Bobby Witt's up to 350.
Jeez, 350.
There's the exact same gap from Witt to Kwan, 17 points,
Yeah.
as Kwan to Aaron Judge, who's third at 316.
It's amazing that credit to Aaron Judge. I know we don't like giving credit to the Yankees, but considering that Aaron Judge is a premier power hitter,
He leads baseball with
For-
39 home runs and
Yeah.
99 RBIs.
but the fact that he hits for such a high average,
Yeah.
and it's outside of Soto, they don't have that good a lineup. It's not like the old Yankees where they were loaded 1 through 9. They got a lot of crappy hitters or mediocre hitters in their lineup. But man, he is that guy. I know, and the Guardians have handled him great in the playoffs,
except the time he hit the scoreboard.
Well, that
was
for the most part.
That was this year. He didn't hit. He came off. We were at that game.
Yeah.
Quick reminder: 2 Fridays from today, so not next Friday.
People gonna write this down?
I just want to tell them.
Yeah.
It's the 16th. We are going from 10 to 11:30, then normal 12:30 to 1 on WKYC. But we got something special planned that we have to be there for. So in 2 weeks, we're an hour early.
Yeah.
Next Friday, normal schedule.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week. Peace.